2 weeks ago, everybody thought the Atlanta Falcon was dead. Bartkowski and Billy White Shoes Johnson. The 49ers were stunned on the last play of the game. A week ago, the Packers had many points on the scoreboard, but suddenly Kenny Johnson's second interception run in for a touchdown, and Henning's team had won in overtime over Green Bay. But today, they faced perhaps the best team in football. The Washington Redskins with Theismann and Riggins and Charlie Brown on offense. The defense with Manley and company, the best against the rush. They want the home field advantage. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the nation's capital and a sold-out RFK Stadium. And that is not unusual. This is the 129th sellout in a row since the days even when Sam Huff and Sonny Jurgensen were playing here in the burgundy and gold. But these are the standings, and these are important. And Gibbs says the Skins have got to win them all, including next week, but starting with this week. Of course, they have the home field advantage now. The Redskins do only for the first playoff game, and they want to repeat, of course, play at home and go to the Super Bowl. I'm Tom Brookshier. Along with me, Jimmy Hill, and we've seen a lot of offensive football because we're defensive backs, or at least we were before. Jimmy, what can they possibly do? This is one of the best defensive teams maybe against the rush that we've ever seen in this league. What can the Falcons do against that Washington defense?
Well, I think they have to pass, and pass a lot, in order to have any kind of chance at beating the defending world champions. But one of the big problems for the Redskins, if you can believe they have a problem, Joe Gibbs told us yesterday that he wants them to become a little bit more aggressive. He says that they aren't as dominant as they were this time last year, particularly in the secondary where they've had to make so many moves.
Okay, now Morowski will be going at quarterback. Bartkowski is going to probably sit out maybe the rest of the year, at least today. Can the young man, does he have good receivers with Hodge and Bailey? Can he do some work in the air?
I think he has some good receivers, particularly from the play-action pass kind of atmosphere, because the Redskins in the secondary play so close up. But the big problem, I feel, for the Atlanta Falcons this afternoon will be their defense. How will they stop that awesome running attack of the Washington Redskins with their big offensive line and, of course, Riggins and Joe Washington? If the field gets as muddy as some people think it will be, then it could be hog heaven out there. How the Atlanta Falcons will react to that, we'll find out with a kickoff just seconds away.
Jimmy, we're going to find out right away because the Redskins, they do win most of the tosses. They've won again. Luckhurst will kick off for Atlanta, and of course Mike Nelms, number 21, pure danger, is going to try to run back the opening kickoff, and this crowd is ready to go completely out of their minds. We hope you enjoy it. Luckhurst, the left footer, he has not been kicking deep, but this one is driven out of the end zone, and the Redskins will take the ball over on their own 20-yard line. Not a bad way to start, not letting number 21 handle it. Here's the offensive ball club. You know about the Hogs, but how about Hollywood? Joe Theismann's the quarterback. He's rated number 1. John Riggins, over 1,000 rushing. Art Monk, Charlie Brown, extremely good outside receivers. Didier is the tight end. Warren, they will miss. He's out now, and he's a good blocking tight end. Jacoby, Grimm, Bostic, Huff, who used to be with Baltimore. George Stark playing better than ever, and Rick Walker is the movement man on that single back offense for Gibbs. You know what? Riggins off the left side behind Jacoby, almost to the 25-yard line. The defense for the Falcons, they're using the 4-3 this year since young Henning has taken over. Yates, now 3 rookies, Province, Dan Benish, and Mike Pitts, the Alabama high draft choice. They'll be tested today. Rady's a rookie. Kuykendall's in the middle. Buddy Curry leads the team in tackles again. Butler and Kenny Johnson at the corners, not bad. Pridemore and Britt, they're going to be tested down the middle too. Britt, by the way, is a rookie, so 5 rookies starting on defense against a Super Bowl champion. Incredible. Second down 6. Same play. Different result. Good defensive pressure from the outside by Atlanta. And I don't believe Riggins made anything at all. Pridemore up there early.
That's one of the things that the Falcons really have to do this afternoon, Tom. They have to gang tackle. They cannot have 1 or 2 people around the ball carrier. They have to have 4 or 5 and even 6 people around, especially when you have so many young people out there on their defensive unit like they do.
And of course, when you get Riggins out, as you see him trotting to the sidelines, Joe Washington comes in. He's got 1,000 total yards already catching and running this year.
He certainly does. And one of the things that they'd like to do with Joe this afternoon is run more draw plays to him and throw more to him coming out of the backfield.
So you have Giaquinto and Joe Washington in there on a 3rd down and almost 6. Very unusual for the Skins to be like this. Theismann with a good throw, and it's caught and driven out of bounds at the 42, Charlie Brown. What a reception. The young man from South Carolina State has a vertical jump of about 33 inches, and that's what it took.
It took every bit of it here because Charlie Brown is a former All-Pro. He's a leading receiver with 68 receptions. He runs a corner pattern, and he uses his height to get up in the air to come down and grab the ball. This is one of the things that the Falcons have so many problems facing this afternoon because the Redskins have so many weapons in their arsenal.
Glazebrook made the tackle. He was covering closely, and Charlie Brown got the cigar. Here's that handoff to Riggins on first down. This time the Hogs do some good. He's at midfield. And they haven't given up the football yet, right? Bobby Butler had to make the tackle. Riggins has been a very active runner, though. He's going to be one of the top ball carriers in the number of times he's carried the ball, maybe of all time. He's up there in 4th place now, isn't he?
He certainly is. He averages 3.6 yards every time he carries the ball. As you mentioned, he's rushed for over 1,000 yards so far this year. And the great thing about him is that when he falls, most of the time he falls forward to pick up a couple of yards.
And on top of somebody, usually. Second down, and maybe 2 yards to go, right at midfield. Drive to the right side. Riggins cuts back inside, though, to the 40-yard line as he waited for the hole and for the offensive line to operate. Kuykendall hanging on to number 44.
The problem that the Falcons are having is that they are just outmanned up front. That huge offensive line, as you can see what they're doing, the offensive line for the Redskins, they're just holding the defensive people up and letting Riggins pick the hole that he wants. Even though Riggins is as big as he is, he has a great deal of speed for his size, and all he does, he just runs around, picks up his hole, picks up enough yards for the first down.
The offensive line that Jim Hill's talking about averages 276 pounds. That's the average. Riggins back in behind it. Hit pretty hard at about the 36-yard line by Rady, the rookie linebacker. Jacoby at left tackle is 305 pounds. Rim is 275 at left guard. Bostig's the little one at 255 at center. Right guard is Huff, who is now at 262. And Stark is about 260, 258 at right tackle, and no longer a finesse tackle. They said he's become a very good physical offensive tackle.
Certainly has, and right now the Redskins are running behind Jacoby, number 66, who, as you mentioned, is 305 pounds. And I tell you what, this is one of the things that the Redskins do the best, run right down the field.
2nd and 5. Uh-oh, somebody broke early. Looked like Didier, the tight end, might have come out. Atlanta feeling that Warren is an important part of Gibbs's offense. They might try to put a defensive end or a linebacker on that tight end's nose a lot. And I remember Didier might have been firing off trying to get somebody off of it.
I think so. Another thing that...
Start, 74, offense, 2nd down.
It's George Stark, the tackle that made the first one.
Another thing that the Falcons will probably try to do today is blitz a lot and try and get to Theismann, because if they just stand back there and wait for things to happen, the only thing that's going to happen is that the Redskins are going to put points on the board.
Joe Washington is in there. The draw play, that's what you mentioned earlier. Little Joe picking his way, gets to almost the 35, and it's going to bring up that 3rd and 5 again. Kuykendall making another tackle.
Remember, we were talking to the Redskin coaches yesterday, and they were telling us how Washington has been trying to talk them into letting him run the draw play right up the middle. And here's a perfect example of it. And on a field like this, many people believe that Joe Washington is the best runner in the National Football League.
Yeah, they say he's like a duck, that he can get on an off track and go like man. And he gets in behind the big lineman, and you can't see him.
He just hides back there. Right? That's right.
3rd down and 5. Alvin Garrett, one of the Smurfs, is in there. He's dangerous too. Theismann. Completion, Giaquinto inside the 20 to the 17. Coming out of the backfield, Giaquinto makes the catch, and Curry makes the tackle.
You know, Tom, we were talking about all the weapons that the Redskins have. Here's another one coming off the bench, Giaquinto. Now, the Falcons don't know what to do. They're just standing out there waiting for things to happen. Giaquinto wide open in the secondary. This is a mental mistake. I think the Falcons have been making mental mistakes and physical mistakes already in the ball game, and all that means for them is trouble.
And rookie inexperience back there can be devastating, can it, Jimmy?
That's right.
Haven't given the football up. A first down inside the 20. The Redskins. Play action pass by Theismann. Touchdown. That's Clint Didier, the tight end. The Redskins took the opening kickoff, and they're going to have fun in the end zone. The high five group. Didier's 2nd touchdown.
This is just a mental mistake. That's all it is to it. Sometimes people try to make excuses for what happens on the field. All it is a mental mistake. Someone did not cover the man that they were supposed to. Didier wide open. You can't do that against the Redskins, or they'll blow you right off the field.
Looked like the linebacker took that play action fake and then got caught in, didn't it? Mosley, who's missed one extra point, does not miss this one. It's through.
Joe Theismann is probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. He's the top-rated passer in the league right now. He finds his receivers better than anyone. Didier going right down the middle, completely uncovered. Mental mistake. Touchdown for the Redskins. We'll be right back.
Look at the numbers. 80 yards in 5 minutes. And now they're going to kick off. This is Hayes kicking off. 50% of his go inside the 5-yard line. Richard Williams, Johnson, and Curran are waiting. That's Kenny Johnson, the former Redskin, picking it up at the 5. Gets back out and runs into trouble at the 15. He was the number 2 draft the Redskins cut earlier. Wow, no wonder he's nervous. Let's go to New York City now and get an update on the Eagle game, and they're playing the Rams. Haven't won at home all season. That would really make the no-show start coming back. This defense and offense right now, this is the lockup. This is where Atlanta's got to do a job. They'll try to run for a while, hoping Mosley then can use play action, but it's not easy. Drop back on the first play. Mosley being chased, dumps it over, complete to the 20-yard line. Junior Miller is really jammed at the 20, but the first pass by Mosley is complete. Here's the offense. Mike Mosley started his first game last week, and the team won. Andrews says he can run against anybody, including the Redskins. Bo Robinson is the action man, the H-back. Bailey and Hodge, 2 young receivers, but very good ones. Ken Thielman, Van Note starting his 199th game, a Falcon record. Scully Bryan and Arthur Cox at tight end. That's a good offensive line. Second down and 4. Mosley again throwing. The blitz is on. It's complete to Billy Johnson. And he's hit hard and dumped, but he has the first down at the 26-yard line. Here's the defensive ball club that's number 1 against the rush. Liebenstein, Dave Butts, the giant in there at 295. Darrell Grant and Dexter Manley, who hasn't done much lately and wants to prove that he's still a Pro Bowler. Kaufman, Okowitz, Malott, very steady linebacking. Darrell Green, boy, he's faster than a split second at left corner. Vernon Dean having problems. Jordan Murphy, slow but good safety man. First and 10. First carry by Andrews, gets through that hole with a little sidestep out over the 30. And Neil Okowitz stops him there.
Kind of an interesting philosophy that the Atlanta Falcons have, Tom, is they're coming out throwing on first down, throwing on second down, trying to loosen up that secondary a little bit of the Redskins because, as we all know, their secondary people lead the team in tackles. So they are doing just the opposite. They're setting up the run by passing the ball.
Of course, when we talked to Henning about this, he was with Joe Gibbs here for 2 years, including last year, and he will reflect a little bit on some of those people that are playing on the other side. He says you just can't stand up and run against this team as a steady diet. So he's done what you said. He's trying to throw off the timing of the defense. Looks like Manley may have jumped. Second down and 7. Doofer, a rookie in there, may have been the one that drew them off. 16 rookies on this Atlanta team.
False start, 71, offense, second down.
So those are the kinds of things that you just can't do against the Redskins. You start a little drive, you get just a little bit of momentum, then all of a sudden you come up and you make a silly penalty, and now you're in a passing situation, and they know you're going to do it.
Of course, a lot of these young rookies on the Atlanta team have never heard hail to the Redskins when they're beating it out in the stadium. They've got to be a little tight. 7:43 left in the first quarter, and the Redskins drew first blood at 7-0. Second down, 12. Mosley inside handoff. Andrews hit almost as soon as he made the line of scrimmage and gets to the 27. Grant was there, and Malott. We'll be watching the matchup of Dexter Manley against Mike Kinn, the big all-pro offensive tackle. There will be a few sparks at that area. There's 72 right there. He's no longer little. He weighs 262 now, Dexter does. And 3rd down and 11 will surely have the pass rushers coming. They'll lay their ears back. Remaining back is Andrews. Mosley. 2 Andrews, who drops it at the 30-yard line. Look like Butts and maybe Dave Butts and Perry Brooks putting some pressure on Mosley, the quarterback.
No, Tom, we're talking to Dexter Manley yesterday, and he's been frustrated the last couple of weeks. He says the reason is because he's been double-teamed and triple-teamed. Here's a perfect example. 3 people on Dexter Manley, and that's one of the reasons why he's a little upset at everything. So we'll keep an eye on him this afternoon, because I know that with the mud out, he may grab a handful of mud and start throwing it at people.
And you're right, they double and triple him that time. Here's Giacomaro's first punt. It won't be his last today. A good hanging kick. Nelms never fair catches and does it again. Nelms is hit hard and driven down back to the 31-yard line. Remember, the Falcons are the best at covering punts in the National Football League. They showed it then. 6:45 left in the first period. Washington 7-0, and the Redskins have the hog bladder. Tom Brookshier and Jimmy Hill in Washington, D.C. 6:45 left. The first 5 minutes was the Redskin drive that ended up in a touchdown. No surprise to people here. Not to anybody that's watched this team. They're awesome. Handoff to Jacoby's side. Wiggins picks up 2 or 3. That's young Pitts, the Alabama draft choice, that's playing on Jacoby.
You know, we're talking about that huge offensive line. Watch number 66, Joe Jacoby, over 300 pounds, and this is where most of the offensive attack has been going so far this afternoon for the Washington Redskins. As you see, he just moves people out there. Buddy Curry, he takes him on. Curry's the leading tackler for the Atlanta Falcons, and he's going to be very busy this afternoon.
And Don Smith, we noticed the Pro Bowler is in there now. He's had a pinch nerve in his neck, but all hands are on deck for a hitting in this game. The Falcons have got to try to beat the Super Bowl champions. Riggins changes his mind and gets back to the 40. Pretty good movement for a 228-pounder. Pitt stops him there. He's a good pass receiver, but really they take him out in passing situations because Little Joe is just fantastic as a receiver.
Oh, Washington's terrific. Washington's caught 43 passes so far this year out of the backfield, 5 for touchdowns. Riggins has only caught 5 passes, but as you mentioned, he can catch the ball coming out of the backfield.
He's one of those guys, they said they let him set his own pace at almost everything. He's sort of listening to a different drummer, but when he shows up on Sunday, he brings all the uniform, doesn't he? 3rd down and 3. Theismann with all day to throw, so he decides to run with it. Theismann slides as a flag down. It'll be close to the first down markings. Provence, the rookie defensive tackle, stopping him there, and it's going to be against the Falcons. Defensive holding, and no pressure on Theismann in the pocket then at all.
None whatsoever, and it's kind of hard to believe that the Falcons aren't trying to do anything up front, blitzing the linebackers, blitzing someone from the secondary to put some kind of pressure on Theismann, because he's going to get all kinds of good protection from his huge offensive line.
Most people worry about controlling him and at least putting him in a pocket and all, but he can pick out secondary receivers very well. He knows where everybody is in that offensive scheme. Theismann is very, very bright at quarterback.
Holding, number 26, defense, 1st down.
That's James Britt, the rookie from LSU. And the official, of course, that's Tom Dooley, number 6. We'll give you the names of the other officials, our zebra friends, later on here. It's a 1st and 10 on the 48. Redskins in their own territory. Briefly. Theismann straight out. Riggins is in the backfield and goes out for a pass, but this is through Art Monk's hands at the 30. Kenny Johnson was trailing and Monk was open.
Kenny Johnson's very lucky that Monk didn't catch that ball, because all the Falcons doing right now are receiving. They aren't delivering a blow, trying to do anything.
Field goal for the Giants. They lead St. Louis 3-0. Of course, you saw that replay. Philadelphia had the extra point go awry, but they got a touchdown. Tony Franklin's foot must be cold. Maybe it's just wet. Here, there was rain all day yesterday. The lights are on, but it is not raining now, and that's a pretty good natural grass turf that's been dyed green for television. 2nd down 10. Theismann with a lot of time. Oh, Monk makes a great catch. He's separated from it. Curry has the ball. Let's see if they're going to call it incomplete on one side, the official is. Pridemore really stuck Monk, and to me it looked like a catch, but we'll let the replay take care of that.
Well, I tell you what, I would be arguing and screaming if I were an Atlanta Falcon right now, because as you watch Monk go down the field, he catches the ball. There it is right there. He has a step down, 2 steps. Pridemore comes in, really puts a shoulder onto him. To me, that's a reception. I mean, we've seen some things that have happened throughout the course of the year, but that is a definite reception as far as I'm concerned.
And they're legislating so much against the defensive player anyway. You know, we're all paranoid, even when you and I play, but now they can't even touch people, you know?
That's right. You talk to defensive people today, they're scared to death because they know that the rules are being put in for the offense.
Hope they can transfer to the offensive side or become a special teams player. You saw Joe Gibbs briefly on the sideline. And this is a 3rd down and 10. Theismann going upstairs for Monk. He's overthrown, and he and the young cornerback, Butler, bounced elbows, but no flag.
Now, that was the first time, Tom, that the Falcons have had any kind of pressure on Theismann at all. It wasn't a great deal, but it was just a little bit. They blitzed a couple of linebackers trying to do something. They need to do more of that. They have to have more activity from the defensive unit, because if they just stand out there and wait for the Skins to put it to them, then they will.
And they're not letting the Skins run every play, which may be good in the long run. They're forcing Theismann to throw it on 3rd and 10. Billy Johnson, the all-time NFL punt returner, and Hayes, I think one of the best punters now in football. He'll nail this. He'll hang it so he can get some tacklers around Billy White Shoes Johnson. Oh, this is a high kick. Great hang time. Billy White Shoes at the 10. He's going to fair catch it at the last minute. Ooh, pretty late hand put up by Billy. And Coleman made sure that White Shoes got his hand up. Look out, Billy. It's 7-0. That's the 28th time that Jeff Hayes has put the ball inside the opponent's 20-yard line. By far the best in the league. Well, what a heck of a place to start your offense from all the time. Huh?
Because offenses are somewhat hesitant to throw a lot from this deep in their end zone. That's why the Washington Redskins get the ball back so few times.
So the quarterback who's starting his 2nd game. Talk about pressure. Quick drop. Morosky outside. Caught by Billy Johnson. He's wrapped up on the 14-yard line. Coffey over there, another young player that's playing well for the Redskins. He's had 3 interceptions and only played part-time. There's Billy going off the field. Boy, that little man, has he changed Dan Henning's whole concept about players you think are washed up? He came back from Canada, and he says this young man might end up in the organization before he's through, because the young players love his practice style and how much he works hard.
Work habits, very important.
And play habits, they're important too. 2nd down 5. Straight ahead, Andrews. The bull from Auburn is hit by Malott. He may have made a couple of 3 yards. He was very adamant about it. He said if the Redskins think they can just throw their hats out there tomorrow and win this game, they're going to be embarrassed, he said.
That's kind of strange. But we've heard a lot of running backs say that they think they can do certain things against the Redskins. Eric Dickerson said it a couple of weeks ago, and look what happened to him.
He got 37 on 12 carries, huh? Kurt Warner got 35 yards rushing against this team. And Andrews says, is that right? Well, he always puts on the pads and the helmet. This guy will make you prove it. 3rd down and 1. Short yardage. That's Riggs. It's going to be close. They're saying he didn't make it. Malott was on the bottom. Charlie Mann was on the bottom. He's another rookie sensation. By golly, they held him. Now that's defense.
Certainly is, and it's kind of surprising. You know, they come and they pass on 1st down, but then they come out in 3rd and 1, and they know that the chances of them of getting a 1st down are not that great. Why not come up with some kind of play action pass? Maybe we'll see it a little bit later, but right now they need to get just a little bit more into the offensive scheme and open things up a little more.
Jacamara kicking again. He's inside his 5-yard line, and Nelms is waiting at his 40. This is an average kick, but it's a pretty good kick. Nelms at the 44. The 45. Nelms back to the 39. You don't want to let number 21 get it underway. He's a lot like a great sports car, you know. When they get to that 5th gear, they're gone. It's 7-0, 2:37 left in the 1st quarter. Washington with 6 first downs and a touchdown on that first drive for a 7-0 lead. We're going to get into what John Marshall, the defensive coach for the Falcons, said when he reacted to Jimmy Hill's question last night. Just a moment. First down. Misdirection handoff to Riggins, who is hit pretty hard at the 45.5-yard line. Let's go to New York City and get a replay and an update on the Green Bay Packers situation. That's for sure, Brandon. Also with Green Bay, they've got to get a lot of points put away before the fourth quarter. They may have to score 50 to win that game. Second down and 7. Outside handoff. Riggins cut back inside. Tell you, the Falcons are game tackling the way Jimmy Hill said they've got to. He's short of the 50. Province there and Levenik. Remember you asked Marshall yesterday, he's a very fine young defensive coordinator. Have you thought about using a 5-man defensive line against this?
I know, it's kind of strange because he looked at me in a strange kind of way and his eyebrow went up and he said, yeah, we thought about it, but then we tossed it out. Well, the way the Redskins are moving up and down the field, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea just to throw it in every once in a while. You don't want to make a steady diet of that, but do something a little different.
It's a good idea. It's 3rd down and 5, and we've seen the Redskins in more long 3rd down situations than normal so far. Here it is. Looking for Muck coming under. Muck has it for the first down at the 45. We watched Theismann practice that yesterday, where Muck goes in motion, lets everybody clear out, and he sort of comes back under.
One of the great passing patterns that the Washington Redskins run. But as you can see, the Redskins have no pressure at all on Theismann. Look at him. He's just standing back there all the time in the world. Only a 3-man rush by the Atlanta Falcons. Monk goes across the field, which is one of the toughest patterns in the world for a defensive back to cover because you're trailing automatically from the beginning. And right now, the Redskins on the roll again.
And those Falcon linebackers are known to drop deep very quickly to try to help deep. Good offensive game plan. Part of everything is the preparation. Riggins, not much on first down. Province went right under the whole pile. Bugle is the assistant head coach for Theismann, of course, and Joe Gibbs, and he's called the boss hog. And he says that he can beat on those guys and make them work so hard in practice because they know he really loves them. You know, he goes out to dinner with them during the week. I mean, he is really their friend, but he also is a very tough taskmaster.
And one of the great things he says about their particular unit is that they practice the way that they play in games, which is really unusual because in the pros, most of the time, people don't want to practice as hard as they play.
And they have to practice against that tough defensive line. That'll get you ready for anybody on Sunday.
That's right.
It's 7-0 at the end of 1 quarter, and the Falcons, hey, they're still alive. Brookshier with Jimmy Hill, 2 defensive backs. Shows you we're not very bright. We end up in television, which is even more competitive than the NFL, right?
That's right. There's some defensive backs on the field going to have their hands full, especially those for the Falcons the rest of the afternoon.
Riggins with 40 yards on 10 carries in 1 quarter. Straight drop back by Theismann. He's got a lot of time. Outside, wide open is Walker. Inside the 15-yard line to the 13. Bobby Butler's there. Ricky Walker, the big fella from UCLA. You were talking to him yesterday about how he felt and what have you.
He says he has a sore shoulder. He's kind of banged up and beat up. Can't tell by this particular play. Absolutely wide open. Once again, a mental mistake by the Atlanta Falcons. Not a physical mistake so much. They get 4 people over on the tackle, but it doesn't do any good. They're not playing the defense the way it's supposed to. There's no way in the world that Walker's supposed to be that wide open, and you think that you're going to have a chance to stay in a game against the defending world champions. It just can't be done.
Good point. First down inside the 15. Drive to the left side. Riggins behind the Hogs. Inside the 10. They seem to get low and raise all the defensive linemen up. And if the defensive lineman fights pressure, the offensive lineman just takes him wherever he wants to go then.
That's right. Here's a perfect example. Look at how high the defensive linemen are for the Atlanta Falcons. They are higher than the offensive people are for the Washington Redskins. And that's one of the reasons why Riggins is so effective the way that he has been. You have to get down under those big people and let your linebackers come up and make tackles.
Second down and 5. Redskins lead 7-0. They want more. This bunch is never satisfied. Outside drive. Riggins is chasing gang tackle. Good defensive play by the Falcons, and I mean a lot of them. Pridemore was there, and Jeff Yates. Joe Theismann went to New York to autograph books on his day off, and told the people in New York, at least according to the New York Times, that he wanted to play his football in New York City area, where, of course, he's from northern Jersey, and said he wanted to play with the Giants and the Jets, and he just caused all kind of trouble because these Redskin fans will hang you.
Joe's always been one that's never at a loss for words.
His biggest interview is no comment. That might be an hour show. Third down and 5. Theismann. Outside. Giaquinto almost had it and then dropped. He was closely covered, though, by Jimmy Britt.
Britt does an excellent job coming up, getting his hand on the ball, knocking it away from Giaquinto, who came out of the backfield. One of the better defensive plays that the Falcons have come up with this afternoon. But once again, Theismann standing back there, being able to pick out his receiver. Britt comes over, just barely gets his hands on it and knocks it down. Now here comes in Mr. Automatic, as Theismann calls him, Mark Mosley.
He's hitting 68% this year, and he just passed a gallstone the other day, which is a tremendously painful thing. And you can see the big pain is for Henning and the Falcons as Mosley drills it again. His 29th field goal in 42 shots. And Mark continues to march on, gallstone or not. It's 10-zip. It's sold out, and most of the people here show up. In fact, even last year when the no-show thing became fashionable after the strike, this stadium was still jammed with 55,000 plus, 129 consecutive sellouts. And all of that football during those times was not the greatest, but these people, they love football. Washington, one of the oldest franchises, of course. This is Hayes' kickoff. He does the kicking off. Mosley does not. That's Richard Williams, number 22. Williams is nailed at the 25-yard line. Don't forget the Division 1AA semifinals. Southern Illinois against Nevada Reno, or Central State against North Dakota State, or Furman against West Carolina, Nevada Reno, Southern Illinois. Next Saturday, NCAA football right here on CBS Sports. And of course, we're very proud of being able to cover the other divisions of college football, which are just as important to those young people as playing at Notre Dame. First and 10 pass by Morawski and simply knocked down by William Andrews. Boy, he's going to be mad at himself, too, because he was open.
Those are the kinds of things that really get you into a lot of trouble in a hurry, because Andrews is the leading rusher for the Atlanta Falcons, and he has not been able to do a lot of pass receiving for the Falcons. But in order for them to be successful, they have to do those kinds of things. Andrews is probably standing in the huddle right now saying, oh my goodness, now things are really going to get bad because we are worse off than we were on first down.
That's right. He's a good receiver, too. He had 44 catches coming in. He's one of the great total yardage guys who play football. Billy Johnson getting somewhat confused and now moves to the left. Morawski back to throw. He's got protection this time, a lot of it. Knocked away. Great play by Rich Malott, covering Billy White Shoes Johnson. Let's go get an update right now. Galt looks super fast even on slow motion replay.
Oh, I'm telling you.
World-class hurdler, and he's playing extremely well for the Chicago Bears. And as we said, those Packers have trouble playing pass defense. Third down and 10 now, facing the Atlanta Falcons, and they trail 10-0. Here comes the pressure. Butts chases Morawski out. Trying downfield for number 83, Floyd Hodge, and he was closely covered by Mark Murphy. They just put pressure on you from every conceivable angle.
You know, Brookie, and it goes back to the pass that was dropped by William Andrews. That was the key to this particular drive as far as the failure or the lack of consistency for the Falcons. If Andrews catches that pass, they move up. Maybe they get a first down and hold off just a little bit. But now he misses an easy pass. The Redskins come back and make two great defensive plays.
The best thing that happened was they didn't get it intercepted, I suppose. Giacomo kicking for the third time now. Nelms waiting for his third reception. And he's a cake of dynamite. You know he might explode. Ooh, this is a tremendous punt by Giacomo. Nelms at the 26. Oh, there's good coverage by the Falcons again. Absolutely no return by Mike Nelms. A red wave went over the top. The Redskins go back on offense. Washington 10-0 over Atlanta. Not yet at halftime. Dan Henning, the young first-year coach, waited his time, came out of Brooklyn and was an assistant coach about everywhere, including right here in Washington with Joe Gibbs. And when he got this shot, he hired the best people possible. And we'll talk about Teddy Fritsch, who's the special teams coach for Atlanta. They can really cut the punch. Misdirection, Joe Washington in there on first down. He slithers through to the 34-yard line. Smith to make the tackle there.
Once again, 305 pounds of Joe Jacoby pulling. Now you would think this is really amazing, but these men have great speed to go along with their great size, and he gets over there, gets a great block for Go-Go, as they call Joe Washington. They say Go-Go wants to be gone, and if he gets a little crack, he will be gone.
They call Riggins the groundhog, and they say he's almost as grubby as a lineman. Here's Joe Washington being knocked down. Good defensive play by 59, John Rady. And Pitts also stood up his blocker. Joe Gibbs in his third year. They were 0-5. I did the game when the 49ers beat them in that season of '81. And since that time, they have gone crazy. And here in this stadium, they are 16-2. And the only team that's beaten the Redskins here in 18 games has been the Dallas Cowboys twice. Third down and 7. Burgess Say's in there, another speedster. There's no remaining back. Theismann. Complete and drop. Alvin Garrett had it for a moment, but Bobby Butler made him cough it up. Good pass defense.
It certainly is one of the better pass defensive plays that we've seen by the Falcons this afternoon. Did a good job of playing the ball, going up and knocking the ball down. That's one of the problems that defensive backs make. Sometimes they play the man rather than playing the ball. You go up there and knock that ball down.
Now, can the Redskins be lulling themselves to sleep a little bit like now? Now we've got a 10-0 lead because somebody like Billy Johnson or somebody can make a special teams play and put the Falcons back close in a hurry.
That's right. You know, you were talking a little while ago. You brought up a very interesting point. It seems like they're just kind of playing around a little bit. They know what they can do, and they're just taking their time and doing it.
This team can bounce back when these Falcons don't quit. A great punt by Hayes. White Shoes Johnson at the 20. Not much. Good coverage. That 26-yard line is about as far as Billy Johnson got. The Atlanta offense comes on the field. They haven't done much yet, but it's early. 10:28 left before half. It's 10-0. Do those numbers mean anything to you people? They do if you know anything about football. Atlanta with 26 yards total offense. The Redskins with 147. Wild. Is this the best field position the Falcons ever had? 27-yard line. Inside drive. Andrews bucking out over the 30. I got a kick out of him. We were talking to some of the Redskin people about Andrews. Said he only weighs 210. They said, bull, he must go 240. Don't give me that he only weighs 210 pounds. There's Thielman, the big Pro Bowl guard that's playing left guard this year. He just came back in after dislocating a finger. We'll try to get as close as we can with our lens to see how he wrapped it up. He came back in, he's going after it again. Second down, 6. Quick throw by Morosky. Billy Johnson has the ball and perhaps a headache out to the 37-yard line. Kaufman is right there. The linebackers are not flashy for the Redskins, but darn if they don't get good position, and they're good tacklers.
They certainly are, and they line up in spots out on the field which allow them to get to the ball carrier. That's one of the things that Joe Gibbs was telling us about yesterday. He says that he has very intelligent football players, both offense, defense, and on special teams, and it's particularly on defense, they are asked to do so many different things out there. That's why they are leading the league against the run right now.
And Gibbs said all of my players are intelligent. He said, I know it sounds silly, but we can teach them something like that because we know they'll pick it up.
That's right. He says that they cut the dumb players, which is a message to the younger players that are trying to come up to the pros.
He says they cut the dumb ones. I might not have made the first week of training camp. We'll be back in just a moment. It's 10-zip. Tom Brookshier with Jimmy Hill down in Washington at RFK Stadium. good ball game, a rather bruising one, not too flashy, but we got 3rd down and 1. Last time the Falcons went for this, they got stuck. Let's see how the Redskins react. Remaining back is Andrews. It's a pass play on 3rd and a foot. Mosley to Floyd Hodge for the 1st down.
That's what we were talking about a little while ago. 3rd and 1. They didn't get it. They tried to run for it. They got it stuffed back at them. This particular time they come out and they put a little more pressure on Washington because Mosley can run the ball and he can come out on the option. He gets out of that pocket, completes enough for the 1st down. Now we see where the Falcons are doing just a little bit more in their offensive philosophy. It wouldn't be a bad idea to see some play action, some play pass on 1st down, which will really suck that the secondary Redskins up.
Good call, and a second 1st down for the Falcons. They had to earn it with a pass play. Andrews pulling to the 42-yard line. Darrell Grant hanging on there along with Dexter Manley. Dexter has that funny haircut this year, doesn't he? The Mr. T haircut, but he's sort of a likable guy. He says he does a lot of talking, but he said that's just the way I play.
Yeah, he likes to add a little excitement to the ball game. People ask him why he got the Mohawk haircut. He said, no particular reason. I just wanted to do it.
He hasn't had a sack in 3 weeks, though, and that he would like to correct this afternoon. 2nd down and 8. 2 yards is all Andrews noted for. Here's the drive outside to Andrews. He throws and cuts back to about the 44-yard line. Liebenstein was the first to get there, and then the linebacker stacked him up, and Coffey finished him off.
Monty Coleman came in, number 51. He's in right now. He was really the key to that particular play time because he got up on the outside of the line of scrimmage and made William Andrews turn back to the inside where all the pursuit was coming from.
Andrews, 17 yards on 6 carries. And boy, those are all tough against this time.
Just about on line with Eric Dickerson a couple weeks ago.
And Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
3rd down and 6. And the crowd now going for that defensive call. Mosley. Time. Overthrows Hodge at the sideline. The young quarterback didn't set his feet, and Hodge was wide open on the corner pattern.
Certainly was. That particular time, the Redskins were double covering both wide receivers, and Hodge, running a corner pattern, ran in between the up defensive back and the safety man, and he was wide open. Those are the kinds of things that really makes you say, oh my goodness, we just missed it. But they will come back to it.
And it was open. Nelms back there. You can see him just warming his hands a little bit. Jock Amaro, the Penn Stater, the rookie, reacting pretty well to pressure. Let's see what he punts in this one. Ooh, this is a good kick. Whew. Nelms will not fair catch it. Takes it at the 10 and is driven back inside the 10-yard line. And bodies are flying. Hayworth down early, and the Falcons continue to give Nelms a rough afternoon. It's the way football's supposed to be played, on natural grass turf, and 2 teams that flat don't like each other. There's Dexter Manley, number 72, the defensive end. Remember yesterday we asked him if they were holding on offense. He said, are you kidding? They're holding every play on offense. That's the way the rules read right now. Here's Theismann back, throwing from inside his 5-yard line, and off the hands of Alvin Garrett. Adds a flag down around the pass protection pocket, so there might have been holding. And I think the Redskins are sort of flirting with disaster. I have a feeling they're almost too relaxed. Theismann looks like he's trying to yawn. In the stands or on the field, there's a hog everywhere you look around Washington, right?
You know, and it's really great that offensive linemen are starting to get this kind of publicity that they really deserve because they do such a magnificent job.
Holding 74, offense.
Do you mean this kind of a call?
It's 2nd down.
Stark. Big George Stark. When the new people came in, I'm talking about Gibbs and Bugle and everybody, they thought maybe he'd been around the old regimes too long, and he's become their leader on that offensive line, and has become a very good tackle. That time he was holding. 2nd down 10. Theismann with the play action. Oh, misdirection to Giaquinto, cutting off and pulling up on his pattern, and Joe didn't read it. And I think Theismann looks shaky a little bit to me.
You know, I remember we asked Coach Henning last night. We said, is there any way you can confuse Joe Theismann? Is there anything you can do to him that will make him, you know, kind of shaky and rattle? We asked him, and we asked John Marshall, the defensive coordinator. And John kind of looked at us and said, well, no, I don't think so. He didn't want to tell us a lot, but I think that the Falcons are starting to do just a little bit of different things on defense, as you mentioned then, which got Joe a little bit confused.
They said they wanted him just to have a little trouble reading that first glance. So they couldn't. Here's the dash play by Theismann. Boy, he's good at this. Now the throw. It's complete. Did he get the first down or not? Garrett's pretty close. And Theismann sort of directed things as he made the throw. Pridemore was there, but it's a first.
I think this is probably the best thing that Joe Theismann does, and that is move around, direct traffic. He's such an intelligent individual. Watch him. He'll start pointing out traffic right now. Point to Garrett. Throw it on a line right to the sidelines. Enough yardage for the first down. You know, it's amazing how Theismann was telling us yesterday that he's starting to learn more and more about the offensive scheme that Joe Gibbs wants to put in here.
Well, he's sure some quarterback. No doubt about that. Tough first down, and the Redskins got it. Back to work. Riggins dances inside. Runs into a lot of flack. Kuykendall first. Captain Crunch.
Look at that comparison. Look at Jacoby walking next to Brown and Riggins and Monk. My goodness, those people must feel like they're standing in the middle of Manhattan looking up at the skyscraper.
I remember when Bethard brought Jacoby in. He wasn't a highly heralded player at Louisville or anything. Gibbs tried to get rid of him. He thought he was some kind of a defensive line. He said, Coach, I can play tackle. He said, hold it, don't leave here. That was 2 years ago. Then Finley got a Super Bowl check. Here's Riggins to the 40-yard line, pulling people with him. Is there a flag down on the field?
There is a flag on the field, but once again running behind Jacoby, 66. He does not knock people down the way that he would like to. Now he's working on 74, Mike Pitts, who's a young rookie out of Alabama. And watch John Riggins go to work. Running behind Jacoby, he can't help but pick up yards.
And you know, Pitts is 260. He's given up 45 pounds. It's not, you know, it's not like Pitts is 220. He's a big kid from Alabama. Riggins is 64 yards.
Motion, 86, offense, second down.
14 carries is Didier. The tight end is detected for doing something wrong. The sun has come out. The far stands are sort of lit up. Well, this crowd in this city, well, they lit up last year after the Super Bowl. Over 500,000 turned out to watch the Skins. The draw play, Joe Washington dances through, gets away. Good tackle, the ball's fumbled. And that's something you don't see Washington do, but they did recover their own fumble. They've only lost 6 fumbles all year. Charlie Brown fell on it.
Once again, that draw play that Washington wanted the Redskins to let him run gets into the second. Does a good job, as they call him Go-Go. He starts to get out into the second. All of a sudden, here comes Pridemore. He loses the ball, but when things are going well for you, it just bounces right to one of your teammates, and you pick up another extra yard out of it.
You see that? It came right up for Charlie Brown, didn't it?
Certainly did.
They've only lost 6 interceptions and 6 fumbles. Look at this takeaway giveaway comparison. We're going to come back to that in just a moment, because it is absolutely astounding, people that have been around pro football very long, that any team could get to the 13th game and only have the ball taken away 12 times. Is that some graphic there?
It really is. It used to be, Tom, that when you got into double figures on the plus side, just 10, 11, maybe 12, that was really something. But now the Redskins are like 3 times what great used to be, 35.
And the nearest person in this race is like a plus 18. They're not even in it. It's Washington all by themselves. Don't forget, next week on Saturday afternoon here on CBS, you have the NFL Today, of course, everybody there in New York, and then it'll be the Atlanta Falcons, the team you're watching, and they are a good ball club, and they're very, very young. Against the Miami Dolphins, we hear a lot about Marino and Shula, but I'll tell you, their defensive ball club leads the world in giving up points, and I still think that's how you win games. That'll be a good one. At 3:30 Eastern Time, the Falcons and the Dolphins. Shula is some coach, isn't he?
certainly is. Has a nice new contract now. Nice young quarterback leading them.
He's one of the few coaches that makes as much as the players.
You know, it's kind of strange about David Woodley down there. He was offered like $750,000 a year, and he turned it down. All of a sudden, he gets on the bench. Marino goes in, and Woodley will never see that.
Unless he goes to the Outer World League. Yeah. They may form that next year. 3rd down and 6, let's call it. There's Theismann. Being rushed a little bit. Good coverage on Art Monk. The Falcons are really hustling, and they're going to force the punt. Jimmy Britt, the rookie, was there, huh?
Really is, and this is going to be the best field position that the Falcons will come up with to start a drive. Jimmy Britt from LSU, he's a rookie, and it's kind of amazing that some of the poise that some of these rookies have shown us this afternoon. They can't help but be just a little bit shaky, but they're only down 10-0, and they're still right in the ball game. And you know, it's like Dan Henning told us yesterday. He's very proud of the way that they have performed since they've been in there.
It's a credit to him too that he has the confidence in him. I mean, sometimes you have to play rookies, but he's done some of this just to change the trends, as they say. Here's Hayes' punt, and Billy White-Shoe Johnson. This is not a very good kick. It takes a little bit of a Falcon bunch drop right into the Atlanta bench, and the Falcons will have good field position. And the young quarterback will be able to sort of reach into the bag and pull out some special stuff. And against a defense like this, you better have some. 4:48 remaining. It's a 10-0 lead. The Redskins, with this man leading the way, took the opening kickoff and went 80 yards and got the touchdown. And then, of course, Mosley got a field goal. You're looking at Riggins getting a little big O, as they call it, a little oxygen. 50 yards on 13. We're not at halftime. Here's the fake on the play action by Morosky. An open receiver has it. 82 steps out of bounds. That's Bailey out of San Jose State. And Murphy again trailing that corner pattern.
That's what we were talking about. See, Murphy plays so close up to the line of scrimmage. He leads the Redskins in tackles that when you have a play-action pass, he kind of bites on it, comes up a little bit, and as a result of that, he ends up trailing the receiver. And there it is. That's enough for the first down.
And Morosky is a very good handler of the football. That was a good play-action fake, and it helped the play go. Murphy took it. First down now, and the Falcons are inside the Washington 40. The handoff, Andrews. The end-around play, Hodge throwing a pass. It's intercepted by number 24. Washington with the ball. Gets out to the 21-yard line. The reverse. Andrews to Hodge. Intercepted.
I think the Falcons just outfoxed themselves right here. Instead of leaving in Morosky's hands and letting him throw the ball, which is what they should have done, they give it off to one of the wide receivers, Hodge, and he throws it downfield, gets it picked off by number 24 down there, Anthony Washington. He starts to come back up, fumbles, but once again, it's the turnovers that the Redskins come up with. Kind of amazing that they would try to do that when they had their passing game going.
And it was not a very good pass. The thing was underthrown by 10 yards.
Pass should have never been thrown.
But it counts. 27th interception for these Redskins. Riggins stomps inside to almost the 25. The North Carolinian Buddy Curry meeting him there helmet to helmet. Remember, these Falcons changed from that 34 to the 43, and of course that's what these Redskins have played for years, and that's sort of that image that we see with Henning having been under Gibbs here. He's taken that down to Atlanta, and I think they're going to have success down there. I like his program. Tough in that first year. It was even tough for Joe Gibbs. Second down and 6. Misdirection. Riggins hit from behind at the 25. Yates hanging on there. St. Louis with that touchdown lead the Giants 7-6. Those are 2 field goals for New York. That's their best offense, obviously. Philadelphia 6-3 over the Rams. Looks like that Philly defense has continued to play tough. Green Bay on top of Chicago 14-7. New England leading New Orleans 7-0. New Orleans can be a different team from week to week also. Still in the hunt, though. 3rd down and 5. 3:14 left before half. Theismann on target to Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown out over the 45-yard line in a hurry.
It's kind of amazing. You look at the wide receivers for the Redskins. None of them are really over 6 feet, 6'1". Talking to Charlie Taylor yesterday, he says, if you're over 5'9", you just can't play for me. But what they do such a great job of running and catching the ball. I mean, they just flat out go get it. They aren't afraid to run across the middle. Charlie Brown's an excellent example. Enough for the first down.
And he has a 75-yard touchdown pass already this year. He had against the Eagles. He could take a short one and go a long way with it. Hook down the middle. It's Whittier inside the 40. The tight end hooked up on the seam of that zone operation, and Theismann now is suddenly heating up.
We talked about not a lot of pressure being put on Joe Theismann. Look at him sitting back there. And it seems like all of a sudden the Skins have woke up and said, hey, listen, we better get going right away. But watch Didier right down the middle of the field, wide open, no one within 3 or 4 yards of him, but he gets smacked pretty good. 4 Atlanta Falcons around him.
Didier was the receiver for Neil Lomax at Portland State. At that time, he weighed about 200, and they've fattened him up here grazing in D.C. He's a big guy at about 235 now. 10-0 with 2 left before half. The Redskins, of course, with 11 wins in 13 games, lead 10-0. And they have Mark Mosley in the bullpen all the time with that heavy right leg. So with 2 minutes left, they're going to try to get points. 1st and 10 on the 38 of Atlanta. Theismann with a lot of time. The screen out in the flat to Joe Washington. Washington quickly to the 25-yard line. Pridemore boosting him out of bounds. Every time Washington touches it, the crowd comes up.
Go-Go was almost gone. You saw him. He just took out on a dead run coming out of the backfield. Watch how he sets up his blocking, heads up to the inside, goes down to the outside, and he almost broke it. He almost outran everybody of the Atlanta Falcons. What a great talent.
And good blocking out there. Did you see those big linemen throwing? Sometimes linemen get out there and look around and don't block anybody in the screens. Those hogs go out there and get people. They root them.
They sure do, because they know that it doesn't take much to spring it and let it go all the way.
Redskins looks like they decided to get a pulse beat because they're humming now. 1st and 10. Theismann pumping, gonna go for it. Over the hands of Didier. Clint Didier, gloves and all, almost caught a touchdown pass.
And on that particular play, Tom, there wasn't anyone within 5 yards of Theismann. He was just standing back there all on. Bad throw on his part. He really should have hit the receiver. But just watch. Now this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. No pressure at all. Just look, he stands there, no one within 5 yards of him. No blitzing by the linebackers. Falcons very lucky that wasn't 7 points on the board.
Theismann now 10 of 18 for 151. But we've all seen him sharper. 2nd down 10. Atlanta's giving him a lot of different looks. They're coming. The blitz is on. Theismann reads it. Charlie Brown has it inside the 20. Good offensive pickup. He's still on his feet. Almost gets out. Inside the 15. How does he get out of that?
No, Tom, I can remember things like this happening to me when I was playing. A receiver gets caught up in a crowd, and you automatically think that he's going down. You see, there are 3 people around him right now. And Ken Johnson's just standing and says, oh, I think he's down. The whistle isn't blown. He lets him go, and he almost goes in for a touchdown.
Charlie Brown can't weigh over 175 pounds, can he?
They had to just let him go.
They knock each other off. Well, I'll tell you one thing. He didn't quit, though. He kept the knee action, didn't he, going. 1st and 10 from the 11. Theismann pumping. Did he get it inside? Joe Washington diving at the back line of the end zone. Has a touchdown. His 6th TD catch of the year.
Well, Go-Go got him one. He came flying out of the backfield, catching the ball right on the baseline of the end zone. And look at this. It's like, oh, it's coming right to you, Tom.
Wow.
What a great pass. Once again, no pressure put on Joe Theismann. He just stands right there. Great camera work there. The ball coming right at him.
Georgie Rothweiler down there with that mini cam. He was almost in the end zone with him. At least we felt like we were. Mosley's extra point is good, but there's a flag on the play. What a catch by Joe Washington, the little man out of Oklahoma. He played with Baltimore, and people were always trying to obtain him, and somehow Baltimore let him come into this city. I can't believe it.
Disregard the flag. He was blocked into the kicker.
Good call by the official. Disregard the flag.
Once again, the great passing ability of Joe Theismann. Super protection up front by the Hogs. Joe Washington flying out of the backfield, catching the ball, the base of the end line, and of course the Redskins, the defending champions, lead the Falcons 17-0.
.52 seconds before halftime. By the way, the preceding message was brought to you by the National Football League. The kickoff, of course, by Hayes, with Williams, Curran, and Kenny Johnson waiting. There's Richard Williams. He's going to get it, too. Ooh, Hayes drives this one. 5 yards deep. Is he going to come out? No. And Dan Henning told us a very interesting thing. When you're playing in some other stadium, you look up to the scoreboard, and you're always seeing something like Washington's 10-0, 17-0 early in that first half and first quarter, huh?
It really is. And then he said something else that kind of surprised us. He says, hey, you might as well forget it because that game is over. It could be over in the first half because they run the ball so well and they defend against the run so well. So right now, he's in the same situation that he was telling us about last night.
Hard to find a hole in it. Don't forget, the NFL today at halftime will update all of us on all the games around the league. And it's all getting binding now. The good teams become very serious and somehow float to the top, don't they? 1st and 10 from the 20. Morosky's gone all the way. Slip screen to Billy Johnson. Johnson out over the 23. Those Redskins tacklers, looks to me like they're hurting people. Monty Coleman out there quickly as they're going to try to save the timeouts. They're going to try to save as much as they can. They've got a young quarterback, and they may need a couple of timeouts here. Morosky dropping it over to Junior Miller. Junior breaks a couple of tackles and gets to the 44. Looked like the Junior Miller of 3 years ago.
That's right.
The clock is going. You can see they're not going to. Now they burned one. Let's see who burned the timeout. Which team did that? Can't believe that Washington would call the timeout that Atlanta should have been calling themselves. Morosky going to the sidelines to talk to Henning and company and Fry. At halftime, they'll try to restructure some of their offensive thinking. Don't forget, next Sunday, it's doubleheader day on CBS. It all starts with the NFL Today with Brent and Jimmy the Greek and Irv and Phyllis and her new baby and everybody up in New York. And then it's San Francisco against Buffalo. That's at 3:30 Eastern time. And if anybody cares, the second game, these Redskins against the Dallas Cowboys, somewhere near Amarillo, Texas. They'll have a little game next week. This guy's living out in Dallas right now, but that is Billy Kilmer. We used to call him, you know, old red face and whiskey face and all that, but he's a very dignified businessman now, and he's going into what they call their Hall of Honor here, where they...
He knows the camera's watching him.
He's been with Jurgensen for 3 days. 60 Minutes crew could follow him around and get a couple of stories. That's right. Billy Kilmer, one of the great quarterbacks in this league, and he wears very well as a human being. Boy, when Dallas and Washington used to play back through the George Allen era, some of those memories come flooding back, don't they, for all of us. 1st and 10 from the 44. 2 timeouts left and 17-0 deficit. That's what facing Atlanta. Morosky going for a good catch and lateral. They were trying to lateral. Bailey was trying to lateral to Andrews. I believe the Redskins have come up with the football. Kenny Coffey at the Atlanta 45. That was the play that Shula pulled out a couple of years ago in the playoff against San Diego, remember?
That's right. Good time to call it. Just poor execution on the part of the Falcons. What a great place in order to call it. But you see where Hodge tries to throw it back, and he just, throws it away from Andrews, who can't get over there and get it. Stacey Bailey, number 82, is the one who tried to lateral it back to William Andrews. And if it had worked, it would have been another big play for the Falcons. If, the biggest word in sports. It didn't work, though.
Just remember, that was a lateral, so the Redskins could not have picked it up and advanced it. But they can get possession, and that's what they have. Darrell Green, the young rookie cornerback from Euro School, is the one that made force that lateral. Theismann going right to work. Giaquinto to the 35-yard line. I'll tell you, they're a hungry ball club, and that's what makes for a great football team. They can't get enough. They stopped the clock with 1 second left, and you know who's coming on. His name is Mosley. He has had 13 game-winning kicks since like late 75 when he came in this league.
Last year's most valuable player in the league, 134 points so far this year. He's the only straight-on kicker that's left in the NFL right now.
This is a long one for him. He's obviously, like some of us, has aged a little bit. This will be from 51.5 yards. That's probably just beyond his limit right now. But remember, Theismann's a holder. And if you trust a quarterback that holds, you believe that the Easter Bunny is just down the road.
That's right.
He's won a game already this year. San Diego. He won 2 games a year ago. And remember when he had 21 in a row field goals? The last one in a driving snowstorm against the Giants. I mean, and the Cowboys, of course, they think his right leg is made of lead. They always accuse him of having a metal leg and heavy weights in his shoes because he used to beat them occasionally.
Just a great kicker. That's what he is.
The last straightaway guy maybe we'll ever see, huh?
All the rest are soccer style.
Come from Bavaria, Scandinavia. Now Theismann is ready to do whatever they're going to do. They lead 17-0. Bostic is the snapper. It's down. They're going to kick it. Ooh, that's a strong kick. Oh, hello. How do you like to play against a team that goes down with 1 second left and makes it 20-0? And they go in just to get some orange juice and sit around and get ready to play the second half. And then on to Dallas. What a program.
It's really amazing. Remember, we were talking to Theismann yesterday. He says, if all things are equal, we have that extra weapon on our side, and Mark Mosley. Things are not that equal today because the Redskins are really putting it to the Falcons. But when you have Mosley can come in, kick a 52-yard field goal with 1 second left on the clock, has to be very demoralizing to the Falcons.
And don't forget, we're going to have the updates from the NFL Today group back in New York and all the highlights that's happened so far. And then we'll be back with a second half. Don't go away. This baby's not over yet.
Going in is 26 out of 29.
You're looking at the man that has 2 touchdown passes already today. He now has 24 for the season. He still only has 6 interceptions. There's a prayer there. And by the way, this is a very inspirational type team. Joe Gibbs says that they have 18 people that have a chapel service every Saturday night before a ball game, and they enjoy that. Here are those stats, and it is unbelievably one-sided for what has been a pretty close football game.
5 first downs for the Falcons. The Redskins rushing on defense, average giving up about 85 yards a game. Today it's only 17 yards passing, 79 for the Falcons. And look at the Redskins' total offense, 259 to only 96.
Look at the next stat. 2 turnovers. Do you know who has them? Right, Atlanta.
That's right. As far as the Falcons are concerned, this in second half time, maybe all they should do is throw every chance they get.
And you know, it's awful to go into the locker room trailing 20-0. You think you played pretty decently. You said, my gosh, are we down 20? And the Falcons have hit it a lick. They just can't seem to stop this team. Their kickoff to Kenny Johnson. Johnson, the hero of last week's overtime win, gets out over the 25. The flags are flying, including fur. There's a lot flying out there right now. But Atlanta may decide to come out and make a last stand effort and get very physical. That's the one game, the Oakland Raiders game. The Oakland Raiders game with the Redskins, I understand it was really some kind of a physical mess, that it was very, very physical.
Yeah, the Skins told us that that was the most physical game that they have played all year long. And, of course, the Skins are a physical ball club.
There we are. Here we are in the press box here at an antiquated stadium now. And it's 61 when it opened. I played one of the first games here, but like everything else, we tend to mold and age a little bit.
That's right. I remember playing a championship game here, a playoff game here against the Redskins. The
72?
year that's right, when they went to the Super Bowl.
Holding 49 of the receiving team. First down.
That was when Kilmer and those people were taking their first shot at the Super Bowl.
We thought we knocked Billy Kilmer out of the game. And I'll be doggone if he went to the sideline, one play, came back in the next play, threw a touchdown pass.
Well, Jack Daniels will bring you back. You know? Tom Brookshier with Jimmy Hill. We're only laughing because football is a fun game, you know. Inside handoff. Andrews doesn't get to the line of scrimmage. Every department for Gibbs's Redskin team is honed and ready for the playoffs. Last year they got their defense to where it was so awesome toward the end of the year that nobody could do anything with it, and now it's beginning to look that way again this season.
Well, he said he wanted them to become a little bit more aggressive the last 3 or 4 games of the year, even though they lead the league against the run. And this afternoon so far, that's what they've been doing.
And they got new people in their secondary, you know. John Green is a rookie, and Cameron is new to the system. Peters is gone, of course. Inside drive play. Andrews, I don't believe he got much past the 15-yard line. Bucks was right there. There he is. Drafted by St. Louis, and they traded for him, and he has just been such a solid performer that a lot of people have come and gone, and 65 is like one of the statues here in the Capitol. 296. One of those quiet guys, you just walk by him and say, "Hi, Mr. Butts." That's all I ever say to him. "How you doing, Dave?" "All right." That's it.
That's it. Some people just want to hold up a sign and say, "How you doing?" They don't want to arouse him at all.
Andrews, 17 yards on 8 carries. I think it's not tough to run on this play. 3rd down and 10. Borowski rolling. Troy, good pass. And a good catch. Let's see if they give it to him. It looked like a completion from here. Bailey went up high and was ridden out of bounds by Green, which of course makes it a completion. 15-yarder. Good throw.
Now the rule book says if the receiver comes down out of bounds, and in the judgment of the official he would have come down in bounds had he not been hit. It is a completed pass, and it seems that Bailey, number 82, would have come down in bounds had he not been knocked down.
That Green is some kid, though. He runs a 4.2940, right? I mean, that is we couldn't even get him on a replay.
That's right, from Texas A&M.
Bailey makes a good catch on the rookie. He's learning to play left corner and doing very, very well at it. Borowski out in the flat. Got a screen going with Andrews. Looks like they may have another first down. The Falcons screening to their great running back.
This is what we're talking about at the beginning of the second half. I think the Falcons should just throw the ball every chance they get because they aren't having any luck at all trying to run that doggone thing. But watch Andrews. He's such a great back. Watch him. See, he delivers a blow right there. That's one of the few things that a lot of running backs don't do. Instead of delivering a blow, most running backs receive a blow. And as he delivered it, it enabled him to pick up enough yardage for the first down.
Since he came in the league, he and Walter Payton are the total yardage people, catching and rushing. He's only 30 yards behind Walter Payton. That's all. Here's Andrews cutting back against the grain. He may break it. Now he's pulled down at the 31-yard line by Olkowitz. Andrews is hot.
Well, Andrews told us last night, he says he thinks that they can run inside, and he might have a pretty good day running inside against the Redskins. What happened is that the Redskins pursue so well to the defense, or rather to the runner. He started one direction, cut it back in the other direction, and almost broke it. Great run by William Andrews.
He had 3 100-yard-plus days in a row this season. A tough sort of a resurrection year under a new coach, and he wants to look good against these Super Bowl champions. Borowski throwing a bad pass. Luckily, it was so bad it couldn't be intercepted. Dave Butts putting a lot of pressure on the young quarterback.
and put Mosley right on his back. Butch, 6'7", 295 pounds. He has 8 sacks already this year. Been in the league 11 years from Purdue, and the way he plays out there is the way all the rest of the veterans have been playing for the Skins. You couldn't tell that they've been around as long as they have with the enthusiasm that they play with now because of Joe Gibbs.
Again, it's the intelligent people, that Joe Gibbs is going for. I'll say this, he's got a lot of them. Some of those intelligent people are the ones that hired him. I think he's a great coach. Misdirection play. Riggs getting to the outside. Riggs pulled down from behind at the 24 with a diving tackle. I believe it was Mel Kaufman.
See, now, Tom, you have two things are happening right now. The Skins, 20-point leads, and maybe we got it now. We have them down. On the other side, Henning, the coach of the Falcons, is saying, hey, listen, let's get back in this thing. I know what we can do. I coached them last year. I was assistant head coach. I know that they have a tendency maybe to let down just a little bit when they get a big lead like they do. So the possibility of those two things happening, which is one of the reasons why the Falcons have marched down the field.
Riggs leaving. He's the #1 draft choice out of Arizona State a year ago. He's been hurt a little bit. 2nd down, 6. Looks like the Falcons finally. Here's the dash outside by Mosley. Almost picked off. It is intercepted at the 21 by Murphy. The 9th interception for Mark Murphy.
Once again, it's that defense that comes to the rescue for the Redskins. You have Mosley moving out, rolling out, has just a little bit of pressure on his face. The ball intended for Hodge knocked away, and there comes the league's receiver, the league's leading interceptor, Mark Murphy, his 9th interception of the year.
There's Murphy from Colgate. I remember when he broke in with the Redskins, it was covering kickoffs and punts. He's not fast. He's the leading tackler. I don't know how he does it all, but he's leading the division now in INTs. It's amazing. 9 of them. The slip screen outside, and Charlie Brown drops it. It is not a lateral. It was a forward. It was close. Charlie's shaking his head. Brown came with this team and spent the whole first year in '81 doing nothing because he had arthroscopic surgery of the knee. And then he came last year and they had a strike. That didn't keep him from not setting a few records in that shortened season. And boy, this year he's just a big play person.
And the great thing about this, as we look at Steve Bartkowski on the sidelines, one of the great things about the Redskins is they have so many big play people. So many of them.
Bartkowski, of course, with that strain, he did not play against the Packers. He did not play for a while because Joe Washington dipping outside. That's to the 27-yard line. There he is. He was having a good year. The sacks that he was suffering are ones that sometimes Henry wants him to take. So don't be impressed too much with those 40-some-odd sacks. But those touchdowns and the low interception total, important for him this year. He's not exactly a sprint out or a dash type quarterback, but the new system didn't hurt him. It looks like he was really humming.
He certainly was until he got injured. And of course, that's one of the bad things about professional athletics. That injury can come at any time in a split second.
Tell me about it.
Both of us know.
Right. 3rd down, call it 4. The blitz is on. Theismann quickly reads it, gets it to Washington. 1st down and more to the 39-yard line. And I'll tell you, Joe Theismann knew what was coming and took advantage of it.
You know, when you blitz like that, like the Falcons did then, someone has to cover the back coming out of the backfield. No one is ever supposed to be this wide open. I mean, there's no one around him, no one within the screen of the TV screen when he catches the ball. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to get the blitz in there. But when you do things like that, they made a mental mistake on coverage. Redskins pop it.
Now Riggins is back in. Washington gives you the dipsy blue, and now the big guy runs over you. You can see all the Falcons are trying to get a piece of it. Everybody wants a piece of you when you're the MVP for the Super Bowl.
See, and this is one of the things that can be so discouraging as far as the Falcons are concerned. They moved down the field, had a pass picked off. They thought they were going to get a score out of it. Now the Skins get the ball, and behind that huge offensive line of theirs, just look at that. they just methodically march the ball right back up the field. 7, maybe 8 defensive players on Riggins' end, and he still didn't go down.
Like they were inviting General Sherman back to Atlanta. They went after him. 2 yards to go for first down. Riggins has it, breaks 2 tackles inside the 45. How durable these days is a runner like him that just keeps getting the ball 25 times a game?
You know, and you can't just bring him down. There's no such thing as a perfect form tackle on John Riggins because he's so tough. What you have to do is just kind of jump on his back and hope you get a lot of help, or hold on until he gets tired and decides to go down. He's just an amazing athlete.
And these guys play with consistency. First and 10 call. Tyson. Drive play behind that big line. Riggins waits for it to move and then charges to the 37. They say there's a fumble. It is a fumble, and you can count those on one hand in the last season and a half. Rady down there, the rookie. Let's see who made that thing happen.
We just got through talking about the great athlete that John Riggins is, and it's really amazing. I'm sure that a lot of the fans are in a state of shock right now because Ken Johnson comes over, he puts his helmet in there. I think that's what jarred the ball loose, and Falcons come up with it.
Boy, a big turnover. They've only got 13 for the year. Atlanta got 1 today. It's 20-0 in the third. Fourth fumble for 44. All those carries he's had.
Really is amazing. You see Johnson come up there, sticks his head right on the ball. That's what popped it loose. Ken Johnson did a good job of putting his head on the ball, and the Falcons, being as aggressive as they have been all afternoon long, Tommy Pridemore coming up and recovering it. Now Atlanta has the ball on their own 37-yard line.
Andrews now with 43 yards on 9 carries. We've got 9:09 left in the third. And you know Atlanta likes to come. Here comes the blitz by Washington. This time Mosley read it correctly, and Bailey makes the catch for about a 5-yard gain.
Sure was. Good job by the young quarterback then. He saw Mark Murphy coming. You know, we were talking to some of the older veterans around, the people that have played for a long time, and they talk about how you can read the 2 safeties of the Redskins because they give it away so easily. Now, if this ball had been thrown just a little bit better, odds may still be running.
That's a funny looking throw, though. That ball really got out. It had a greased look to it, didn't it? Looked like Billy Kilmer throwing a good one. Second down and 5. It is almost intercepted. Let's see if that's a fumble. That's Kaufman. Let's see. Was the arm coming forward? No, it's a touchdown. It's considered a fumble, and Kaufman has 2 touchdowns this year. Dave Butts may have caused it.
We'll see if Mosley would, if his arm was coming forward. No, it certainly was not. As Dave Butts was all over him. Well, Kaufman comes over, picks it up, goes in for the score.
He went 74 earlier with one.
That's right.
He may be trying to get into the backfield. Mosley. The crowd will tell you. A 30-yard touchdown by a linebacker. All the Redskins want to get in the act. And that means they want to go to Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl. Where's Williams from? You're looking at Richard Williams, the second-round draft choice of the Redskins, who's running back kickoffs for Atlanta. He was cut. There's Jeff Hayes, and look at that score, 27-0. And now the special team people will be trying to get into the act, to get on highlights on Jurgensen's show or something. You know, everybody here, you got to really fight to get any attention around this team. Do something big. That's what they want. Here's the kickoff. It is a squibbler hitting at the 10, taken on the right side by Kenny Johnson. And a good run back by Johnson, and he fumbles out of bounds into the Washington bench. Few signs around RFK. The real America's team. That's a definite slap at Dallas, I would imagine. What does that one on the right say there?
Watch CBS for Landry's last stand.
That little bighorn.
Well, they're ready for next week.
Don't forget next week, Dallas and Washington, right here on CBS. 11-2, 11-2. You remember Washington won the first half of that first game, and Dallas won the second half and the game. And then, of course, the New York Giants. For Dallas, it's that Washington game. And then they go to San Francisco, where Dallas doesn't like to go anyway. Not lately. First and 10. Mosley. With time, he's being hit by Grant and gets off the pass to the 49-yard line. Bailey making a sensational catch. And I'll tell you, Bailey's a pretty thinly built fella, too, you know.
That's right. Not that big, and did a great job of coming across the middle. And what the defense now for the Skins are doing, they're starting to play back a little bit deeper, having a 27-point lead. They're looking for interceptions. They're going to let their defensive linemen just tee off and get in there and put pressure on them. That's when people like Murphy and the rest of them in the secondary for the Skins really come up with interceptions.
And of course, that's one of the reasons that the stats don't look so good on pass defense, because everybody ends up just throwing it anyway.
That's right.
You let them have a little bit. Looked like Dexter Manley broke early, and he hit Mosley, and the flag's down the 40-yard line. Dexter Manley, trying for that sack that's eluded him, may have come a little early. Let's see what happened. So that's why Dexter gets into trouble with other players.
And he's such a personable young man. You can't help but just like him. Talking to him yesterday, he says, I'm so tired of people double teaming me and triple teaming me
and holding
me. Of course they hold me. I'm trying to break out of my slump. He has 11 sacks already.
Offsides. Number 72. Defense. First down.
Offsides. How about a couple of counts early?
You know, we asked him, we said, does this team think about the Cowboys? Are you thinking about the Cowboys next week? He says, we always think about the Cowboys.
Other guys tell you, no, we're not worried about them. One game at a time. Not Dexter. He says, you bet you will.
He gives you the truth.
And so only the third penalty against these Redskins. They're humming. It's 27-0. We're still in the third quarter. You're looking at Coach Dan Henning. He called over D'Souza, the line judge, and really did a ream job trying to figure out why they didn't call an unsportsmanlike or a major violation. And I have a feeling that the Atlanta coach and team is hot. Mosley on the sprint out left. He's being rushed. Throws the interception at the 40-yard line. Number 48 comes up at Kenny Coffey. 35-yard line. He's forced out of bounds. And Henning shows disgust, because that's what happens when you play hot sometimes.
That's right. We just got through talking about the secondary would be looking for all those interceptions, because they know that all the Falcons are going to do is pass right now. A bad pass by Mosley. Just threw it right into Coffey's hands. And here are the Redskins again, knocking at your door on the Falcon 34-yard line.
Fourth interception for young Coffey, and everybody starts to play like champions, the rookies and everybody. It's contagious if you're a good team. And believe me, Washington is. Misdirection rollout by Theismann. He's going to run with it. Theismann with a blocker. Theismann inside the 24-yard line as Province, the lineman, has to run him out of bounds.
Joe Theismann is the only quarterback in the history of the Washington Redskins to rush for over 1,000 yards. But then when you think about the quarterbacks the Redskins have had here, Jurgensen isn't going to rush for 1,000 yards, or Kilmer, but he is just a magnificent athlete, speaking of Joe Theismann, as well as the other quarterbacks that they've had here. He just adds to that offensive arsenal.
Kilmer and Jurgensen had to be brought out on the field with a limo. First and 10, all joking aside. Riggins inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. The man who quietly does his thing. One year he sat out and waited for the contract to be redone. That's before people were doing that, before it was fashionable. He went home to Lawrence, Kansas, I listened to the bell ring at the university at Lawrence for a year, and he came back and got at it again.
So remember Joe Gibbs telling us yesterday about all the intelligent athletes that he has, and he says, you know, a lot of people think that John is a little flaky. He said that John Riggins is one of the most intelligent athletes you'd ever want to meet.
Got a lot of money. He's very bright. 80 yards on 19 carries for the man carrying the ball right now. He takes Rady all the way to the 15. None of it's been easy today. It just seems to me like the Redskins are so patterned and so disciplined. And Jurgensen, before the game, was telling us that he's watched them practice, and they practice just like they play. The coaches get away and let the players call the plays and get the signals. And
they have game-type conditions in practice, which is very unusual all the time.
Which really is not a bad way to have it, you know.
That's right.
When it happens on the field, then you're into sort of a reflexive action. It's 3rd down and 2. The Redskins love 3rd down and 2. Remember what Marshall told us, the defensive coach? Sometimes you almost want them to make more yardage on the 1st or 2nd down so you don't end up with 3rd and 1 or 3rd and a half inch all the time. Maybe they didn't make it. Let's see.
The fans, of course, wanting the Redskins to go for.
They've gone for it a lot this year, but like you say, it's where you go for 4th down shots. They're always down deep in your territory when they're going for it.
It's really amazing.
It's a good yard short, huh? Crowd says, of course, go for it. 27-0. Do you gamble? Why not?
Might as well. You know, the Skins were a little mad at the beginning of the year. Remember preseason picks? Some teams, some people had picked the Giants to finish ahead of them, and they were really upset about it. They still feel like they didn't have a lot of respect at the beginning of the year.
Jimmy the Greek didn't pick this team to finish 3rd, did he?
No, I don't think it was him. I don't think it was him.
I hope not. Riggins gets to the 10-yard line. And I'm telling you, he had a red shirt on him all the way.
Best man in the world to give the ball to in this kind of situation. You know where it's going. You know they're going to go behind big Joe Jacoby. And that's one of the great things about the Skins. You know where they're going. The problem is, can you stop them?
He's cruising toward 100 yards the hard way. 4 minutes and 48 seconds left in the 3rd. Riggins at 87 yards. And that's about all. I heard some humping and bumping down there that time. Oh. Kuykendall met him head on.
We talked about this is the only way to bring John Riggins down. No one person is going to be able to do it. You just have to really be able to have 3 or 4 people on him, and that's what they had right then. 4, 5, 6 people on Riggins, and they finally bring him down.
I'm always surprised when I see him just like in workout trunks or anything. He's a much more muscled up person than he looked like even in a football suit. You know, he's a big man. Got some age on him, but looks like he's trained rather well.
He is.
Here's the fake as the rollout is by Theismann. A touchdown catch by Art Monk. And how did he get the 2 feet down? What a catch. They're going to gather in the end zone. There's the fun bunch.
Yep.
Watch this.
Here goes the June Taylor dancers.
Touchdown pass for Joe Theismann. A catch by Art Monk. And boy, that was a sensational grab. The little Gene Kelly with the feet. Mosley. What else? Split the fairway.
And the fans here at RFK Stadium are hollering, they want Dallas. Just a great pass here by Joe Theismann. The Redskins are one of the best teams in the world at passing within the opponent's 20-yard line. Going in for the end zone is just an absolute great catch by Art Monk.
And not bad pass defense. It's just almost impossible how close between failure and success is. Boy, this team is rolling. It's 34-0. Hayes will kick off, as he's done a lot this year. They're the leading scoring team maybe in the history, averaging over 34 points a game, and they're right on their average now. Here's Hayes' kickoff. Oh, this is a short one. This is only 2 yards deep in the end zone. Richard Williams hit at the 9-yard line. At the 12, good run back. Look at this, and Williams bucks his way out over the 30. It's better to attack than receive when you get this far behind. Good run back as the kickoff man and punter Hayes made the tackle. Henning Bartkowski talking to Morawski, the quarterback.
Great run, and as you mentioned, he's starting to deliver a blow. It looked like he was going to get tackled on about the 11-yard line. He dances and jiggles his way out, gets a couple of good blocks, and surprisingly, he gets tackled by the kicker with a little help from his friends, or rather, I should say, his kicker kind of slowed him up a little bit.
Hayes probably has papier-mâché pads. Those kickers always have funny-looking little uniforms. There's Joe Gibbs checking his people on the bench. A very calm person, by the way, a man in control of his own life, as well as a lot of other young people that are in this for a living and career in the front. Look at this, 54 touchdowns, a club record, 14th game, so all of these records they make today count no matter what season you're playing in since 1970.
Yeah, and going into today's game, they had scored 442 points, which was leading the league.
We're wondering, with a rookie group of 16 on the Atlanta Falcons sidelines, how this kind of a drubbing would affect them near the end of the season this way.
Yeah, you know, Henning told us last night, and he says, well, you know, most of these guys haven't played in RFK Stadium. They haven't heard hail to the Redskins, so they won't think about it that much. I guarantee you, the rest of their career, they'll remember this game.
And that song.
That's right. They'll have it. They'll be humming it tonight.
In the middle of the night, no matter what, they'll be hearing it. Morawski, Dean Rush stays in there. Good throw to Billy Johnson. Billy's taken down to 35 by Kenny Coffey out of Southwest Texas State. Green Bay still leading Chicago 21-14. That's in the third quarter. Don't bet your house on it. 7-0 New England. That's in a snowstorm, we're told. Everybody should have some adversity, right? Second down and 7. 3:04 left. We're still in the third. Morawski trying to get it to Billy Johnson. He does. Billy Johnson gets to the 49-yard line. He was even interfered with before he caught it, but I don't see any flags.
Got away from Ken Coffey, and you know, Billy seems to be coming up with those big plays for the Falcons. Watch, it's Coffey, number 48, tries to go for the interception, had it in his hands, bounced out. Once again, Billy White Shoes Johnson keeping total concentration on the ball, coming up with enough yardage for the first down.
I think about all the teams that had a chance to get him at least once. I remember when he was drafted 17th, the Eagles didn't even give him a shot. He was from outside of Philadelphia, wide to college. He went to Canada, Houston, and everywhere else. Now he's back in the league. Ooh, good tackle. At the 37-yard line, Bailey is really hit. See who made that tackle. I think Washington came through. As we said, Bailey's not real big. They lost Tony Peters back in that secondary, and somehow Richie Pettibone's got them tied together.
Bailey, 6'1", 160 pounds. And he really takes a lick here. You know, the Redskins, you'll catch some balls on them, but they will make you pay for it.
And they're getting better. By the time they go to Texas next week, they're going to be a little rough.
Oh, they'll be angry.
Bailey with 6 catches for 82 yards. Here's Morawski. Play action doesn't mean much now. Good throw. Heading for Bailey to intercept in the end zone. Washington made the INT. Bailey, the intended receiver. Billy Friel tells me that's the 4th interception for the Redskins so far today.
You know, they're doing things now that they should have tried earlier in the ball game. They should have tried play action passes early in the ball game. Now
The Redskins know they're going to throw the ball. It doesn't make any difference what you do up front. When you're down by 34 points, you know the opposition's going to throw the ball, and they'll just sit back there and wait for them to bring it to them.
It's a time for patience. Young coach, first year, second game for the new quarterback. And they're playing a team that is destined. 1st and 10. Theismann still in there. Hand off to Joe Washington. Go, Joe. To the 25. Bobby Butler in on the tackle. Theismann's been here 10 years. Went to Canada and played 3 years up there. Came out of Notre Dame. Of course, we don't know. He didn't have a pro career at Notre Dame. We're not saying that, but he's had a few years of professional football.
You know, these fans are vicious here at RFK State. They want more points on the board.
How do you rest your players, right? Yeah. 1:23 left in the third. 34-0. And I know it sounds redundant, but the Falcons haven't played badly. They're just not in this game. Here's the flea flicker. Theismann being careful, though. Charlie Brown makes a diving try in the sawdust in front of the bench, but it's no go. Well played by the Atlanta defense.
I tell you what, you have to give the Falcons some credit for trying to do the best that they possibly can. They're just outmanned. They're being outplayed in every aspect of the game. But they're still, you know, they're still trying. Down 34-0. This is one of the things that Henning has to be pleased with in his young people, because it's possible they could walk out of here with a scar on them that would last for the rest of their professional career.
Now, maybe Washington wants to show the scouts from Dallas and all some new plays and all that, but if they did that in the 4th period, I'd go and punch Theismann right in the nose.
Oh, yeah. There's no sense in pouring on like that.
We'll wait till the 4th. Drop pass by Giaquinto. Jimmy Britt was in on that stop. Giaquinto, a very valuable player, used to be with the Dolphins, and somehow Shula found him expendable, but he's been a very good 3rd down player for this team. Hayes will be in there to punt. He hasn't had to do a lot today. Billy Johnson is back. Number 5. 62. Almost, they tried to block it. This is a good punt, though, by Hayes. It's a real hang time job. Johnson at the 32. Billy Johnson upended at the 38. Don't forget, next Saturday, NCAA football here on CBS. The Division II championship. Central State, that's from Ohio, 12-0. It's a pretty good record. Couldn't be much better, could it? Against North Dakota State, 11-1. That's 12 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, the 1AA semifinals, Furman, West Carolina, or Nevada Reno against Southern Illinois. At 12 o'clock Eastern time, Division I AA football on CBS. The kind of football that Billy White Shoe Johnson came from. Here's Bailey with the ball. Good looking play. Bailey almost hit by Murphy, still on his feet, and Green catches him from all the way across the field. Darrell Green, with that great speed, got Bailey out of bounds. Otherwise, it was a touch.
Green's the only one on the field that had any kind of chance of catching him. Penalty flag on the play. Great execution here by the Atlanta Falcons. As you see, Washington, he really gets clubbed right there. I mean, just absolutely knocked completely out of the play by Tony McGee.
I think Mike Ken hit him right in the back, and they may be calling an illegal block, huh?
Yep.
Bailey can run.
Oh, he can streak.
Disregard the flag. There is no foul. It was a side block.
A side block, meaning that the defensive player might have turned his back a little bit as the blocker launched himself.
Either that or he was trying to duck the bullet. He saw it coming at him and he says, no, I'm getting out of here. Down 34-0. There's no sense in him trying to take on, 255 pounds.
Saved himself for the Super Bowl. The crowd now yelling for defense. They want a shutout. Handoff to Andrews. Andrews gets one block. Inside the 15 to the 14. 43 seconds left in this 3rd period. Malott there and Olkowitz. And another thing about the Redskins is that they all show up and play the same position every week. Other teams are having to shuffle people in and out. The same group that started playing defense really basically still playing for Gibbs, huh?
I think one of the reasons for that is because of their off-season program. Joe Gibbs gets most of the Skins to stay in the Washington area throughout the course of the off-season. They use the same facilities year in, year out. They're in the work room and the weight room. They lift weights 3 or 4 times a week. That off-season conditioning will do it.
Well, they're very healthy, and are they bullish? Second down play. Borowski overthrown, and a lot of Redskins back in that secondary there. He's trying for Andrews. Washington was the nearest person to the ball.
Washington's had a fine afternoon. He's been all over the field, intercepting passes, making tackles, knocking passes down, knocking people down.
Dexter Manley just came in, so Dexter Manley pass rushing against Mike Kim this play might be worth watching. It'll be a 3rd down, and I would call it 6.5 to 7. The seconds on the clock in the 3rd period here at RFK. Morosky outside, and Andrews has it, does an adagio, and gets out of bounds. What a catch. Now there's an all-purpose back.
That's a great job by Andrews. That's really good. You know, and you can see that they're still trying. Being down as far as they are, they're still trying.
15 minutes to daylight. And then that shootout in Dallas might be real, huh? It's 34-0. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Fourth quarter action from RFK Stadium. Tom Brookshier and Jimmy Hill. And remember when Gibbs took over here, they went 0-5 and then won 8 of their last 11. Last year in that shortened season, they won 8 and lost 1 in the Super Bowl. This year, they're 11-2 coming in. Morosky trying to get the Falcons on the board. 1st and goal from the 7. That's Riggs. Looks good. Let's see. I didn't see the official put his arms up, but everybody acknowledges that it is, and the net is going up.
One of the few times that the Redskins on defense have just been manhandled this afternoon. Big hole there by Gerald Riggs. Gets in for the touchdown, and like you say, you have to take your hat off to the Falcons, being dominated in just about every department of the game this afternoon. They still had enough fight in them and have enough fight in them to come back and get on the scoreboard.
And you know, they weren't even in the game with Green Bay for a half, and then all of a sudden they got close. This is not that kind of a defensive team, however. This is Luckhurst's attempt. It's the first time he's had a chance to do anything all day, really, except the opening kickoff. So the man from England kicks it through. Falcons are on board with 7, and the Redskins are on their way to the playoffs with 34. (34-7), and Nelms will be back, number 21 for the Redskins. Wonder what Theismann's book will be this week. Is he writing another book this week?
I think he's writing another one. He's certainly playing like he has another book that he wants to publicize.
Called The Killer Quarterback. Luckhurst will kick off, the left-footed one. Atlanta, a young team, came in here very optimistic. A lot of teams are in the lobby on Saturday. But I'll tell you, this Redskin team can bring you back to reality. There's Joe. Onside job, anticipated and almost broken by the Redskins. Greg Williams darn near picked it up and broke it the other way. He's taking the ball home too.
Everybody will get a game ball today. Now the bad part about this is look where the Skins have the ball, in your own territory. You're down 34-7, 14:50 left in the game. You try an onside kick, you don't get the ball, and now this is perfect territory for Theismann to come up with and do just about anything that he wants.
When do you pass a point of getting something back from trying new plays and all? When do you want to rest the quarterback or some of those linemen or anything?
I would think maybe another series or two, but you know how Joe Theismann is. He never wants to come out of the ball game, but he's such an important part of this Redskin attack that if Theismann gets hurt, and he's not able to play, then you get to the backup people. You talk about Holly, who's a second-year man from Princeton, no experience.
Has he ever played? I've never seen him play.
No.
I'm not even at Princeton.
Tell you what, he played a couple of plays out in Los Angeles when the Redskins beat the Rams a couple of weeks ago.
1st and 10. Richard Williams was helped off. The Atlanta run back man. He's okay, but he was hurt. To the 40-yard line. Mike Pitts making the tackle there. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcasts or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Washington Redskins and the National Football League is prohibited. I guarantee you the Falcons won't want to replay this one.
Not at all. But you brought up an interesting point. It's getting close to that time of the ball game when you should get some of those people out of there.
2nd down 7. Theismann to Joe Washington. Joe takes it all the way back. Look out. Boy, could he use blockers. They say there's a fumble at the 25. Let's see if the officials agree. He made the 27, then he fumbled to the 25, but they're going to call him down. Looked like he went down sort of in the fetal position to protect himself.
Joe, go. It's amazing. You just look at everything that these Redskins do, and you try and say, where is there a crack in their armor? They're just full of weapons that can do all kinds of things. They have small wide receivers blocking downfield. They have big people doing great jobs. And then,
boy, he's a smart little guy too. That Joe got down, didn't he?
He knows exactly when to get on down and prevent those licks.
1st down run. Gets another one this direction. Joe moves inside now to the 24-yard line. Clock is running now. Maybe Theismann will not throw unless he's pressured to. St. Louis 7-6 over the Giants. Rams and the Eagles are tied up. Those are 2 Ram field goals. 1 Eagle touchdown. Green Bay still leading Chicago. They've been in the 3rd quarter a long time. New England 7-0 over New Orleans in the snow. Kansas City trailing Buffalo 14-6. Buffalo is a team that can get hot too. 2nd down 8. 12.5 minutes left. Washington inside, hit hard at the 21-yard line by Buddy Curry. When do you want to rest people to make sure that a Joe Washington isn't hurt? I saw him get hurt one time when this team was leading the Dallas Cowboys. In the 2nd half, the Cowboys blew this team off the field without Washington. I would sure rest some of these people that have been working so hard.
Especially after this particular series. I would think so.
Clock is not being stopped. The Falcons will gamely hold on to their 3 timeouts. And the Redskins will just take those into the locker room for sure. Theismann trying to run. Benish, the young rookie from Clemson, tried to undress the quarterback, and what they're saying is, if you don't want to get hit, stop running around with the ball.
That's right. Once you start traveling around like that, they're going to take all kinds of shots at you, and that's exactly what the Falcons were doing with Theismann. Once again, as he has most of the afternoon, perfect protection, not many people around him, he starts standing up. Now there's a free shot right there.
I think the whistle would have been blown by the official, but obviously on replays they're silent. You can't hear it.
Yeah.
It's good. Mosley gets them on the board. 3 field goals for number 3. Boy, a V12, and it's working on all cylinders. 37-7. They're shouting for more Atlanta Falcon blood, if you will. It's still just a game, but the crowd is really into it. Here's Hayes kicking deep. The run back by Butler. Bodies are still flying. A few people rolling around. Don't forget Saturday. These Atlanta Falcons will be all taped up and ready to go against the Miami Dolphins. It all starts next Saturday with the NFL Today here on CBS Sports. The Dolphins in no position not to win every game, and these Falcons are going to be plenty teed off after this game this afternoon. Don't forget, right here on CBS next Saturday. Mosley, the quarterback. Bartkowski has not played in 2 games. This is the second game. Andrews still in there banging out over the 25. There's Mosley with got his little house shoe on there. That's to keep that valuable foot all warm. But you sit in front of the fire with that thing on you. Look like Jack Kent Cook Sr. down the sidelines. The principal owner, he is the principal owner of this ball club. The double reverse handoff, that pass again. Hodge throwing back up the field. Andrews has it to 40. Andrews catches it and goes to the 48-yard line. He made the handoff and then caught the pass. I don't see any flags.
Well, Hodge is throwing, completing 50% of his passes this afternoon. The wide receiver had 1 picked off. Now he comes back and throws back downfield to William Andrews. Andrews did a great job getting out of the backfield, picking up enough yards for the first down up to the Falcon 48-yard line. So the Falcons still trying to be competitive in this ball game.
And they certainly are that. There's Joe Theismann, who was just sacked for the first time a few moments ago. Mosley hit and dropped at the 40. Neil Olkowitz, the linebacker, came roaring through. Played at Maryland, so he has a lot of his collegiate football fans here.
Second leading tackle on the ball club this year, has 1 interception coming in. You know that they're going to start doing a lot of blitzing because of the Falcons and what their offensive philosophy now is throw the ball up as much as you can. But the Redskins and their defense just keeps putting it to them.
Man in motion is Billy Johnson. Second down and 18. Andrews gets the first down and more to the 37-yard line. Whoa, what a burst that was. I think Andrews, he's not talking about Christmas vacation at home, is he?
No, not at all. But, you know, these kinds of runs right now are really expected because everyone is expecting pass. It's a good play as far as the Falcons are concerned. The draw play to Andrews. But, you know, all it does now is just add more yardage to his statistics. And statistics most of the time are for losers, and while Andrews is starting to rack up yardage against the Redskins, 12 rushes for 74 yards, they're still down by 30.
You know, it's a great thing. I'm not sure the statistics that that kind of a person aren't right in your heart. He's going to make this team know that he's one of the great ball carriers around. Good play to the outside. Hodge knocked out of bounds at the 31-yard line. A little slip screen. Handled well by Atlanta. Let's see how many substitutes we have in there on that Redskin defense. Let's see, Perry Brooks is now in there, number 69. Is Butts getting a breather?
No, Butts is going back in.
Charlie Mann is in there, number 71. He's the sort of the rookie that we've been told to watch out for. Played in there for Dexter Manley. Anderson is in there, number 58. Second down, 5. 8 minutes and 24 seconds left. Mosley's going to go for a big one. Pumped it. Gordo has got a wide open receiver, and it's in and out. Incomplete at the back line of the end zone. Hodge running a good pattern, but Green was right there.
Good job by Darrell Green. And I think that one of the things, we may not see a lot of substitutions in the secondary for the Redskins because they need all the experience that they can get. Darrell Green, Texas A&M, great speed, only 5'8". He's beaten, and he knows it. He goes up at the last second. He doesn't tip the ball away, but his hand is right there, and it's just enough of a distraction that Hodge can't hang on to.
Remember when you asked Mosley about putting a tall receiver?
There it was.
And he says, yeah, but Green has a vertical jump of about 35 inches and 4.29 40 speed.
That's right.
this point. Ooh, good catch. Willie Curran with a good catch inside the 20 as Green gambled on the knockaway and missed. They said Green covering Harold Carmichael last week was a riot, you know.
You needed 2 of Green. You needed to put Green on it in order to cover Carmichael.
He's so fast, though, he could tie your shoelaces together for you, you know.
But we're seeing where the secondary of the Redskins, they have been a little more aggressive this afternoon. Green going for the ball here, even though he missed knocking it down, and Curran comes up with it.
Inside the 10-yard line to the 8-yard line. Grant making the stop there. How does this team stack up against Dallas, Jimmy Hill, in your mind?
Well, the only thing that Dallas will have in its favor is that the game will be played down in Texas Stadium. This Redskin team is ready. This is the first. I mean, they are more than ready, I believe. You talk about them looking past teams, getting to the Dallas game. They know that they have to win every game in order to have the home field advantage. It's going to be one great shootout, and you'll be able to see it right here on CBS.
Well, that's sure the truth. Riggs inside the 5-yard line. The last 100-yard rusher against the Redskin defense was Tony Dorsett on the opening shot of the season, that first game, and he needed a 77-yard run to get 100 in. Darrell Green, sensational rookie, Texas A&I. Boy, how would you like to have a young man like this hurt? An injury timeout right now. We'll be back to give you an update. It's 37-7 with 6:37 left in the fourth quarter. That's what we wanted to see. Darrell Green jumped up. He was momentarily stunned down there, and the young rookie, what a likable young guy he is. He jogged off. You don't want to see a talent like that hurt when you're up 37-7. Mosley, the quarterback, 4 interceptions. Riggs, touchdown. Very quiet when the Falcons score here, isn't it?
It's as if though they were coming off a pregame warm-up. No one doing much of any kind of cheering, not even on the Falcons side of the line of scrimmage. As we take a look at Gerald Riggs going in from the score there from just a couple of yards out, 37-13, and Redskins thought that they had a fumble in the end zone, but the ball had already crossed the plane of the goal line.
Yeah, he was in there a long time before that. But, you know, when you're heading for that big check in the sky in the middle of January, you're trying to steal every fumble you possibly can.
That's right.
2 TDs for Riggs. Luckhurst trying for his second extra point. Held by Mosley. It's good. And with starters still in there on both sides, the Falcons get on the board again, but it's 37-14 with 6:14 left. Brookshier with Jimmy Hill. I'm trying to figure out what combination of touchdowns and or field goals that Atlanta would need in this 6 minutes and plus to make it a game or get back in, and I can't quite break the code. It's too many. A lot. Down by 23. Here's the kickoff. Say is waiting for what he thought was going to be a short. This is a half wedge, fair caught by Giaquinto on about the 22-yard line. Before the game, when Mosley was practicing early and limbering up, a Hall of Fame member, the former Eagle and Redskin by the name of Sonny Jurgensen, with cigar in mouth, which he had, by the way, when he played in his mouth, is still throwing perfect spirals. He was just relaying the ball back.
He was bragging about it, too.
He said he called Bobby Lane last night in Texas and said he was tired of watching him on television during that Heisman show. Personalities and quarterbacks should be a study in itself. Otis Wansley getting the carry, as now it looks like some of the people are being substituted for.
Except Theismann is still in there.
Green Bay with another touchdown. It's 28-14 in the fourth quarter. We don't know how much time is left in that ball game. Miami beating Houston 24-17. Cincinnati laying it on Pittsburgh 23-3. Steelers went home early after a tremendous start. Second down 9. Theismann. Wansley and the flags are down. Joe Theismann with his jersey fitted with a place to put his hands to keep them warm. Is there a reason you would want a quarterback to still be in there?
I can't think of any. Not right now.
What would happen if you went into a playoff game and you lost a Joe Theismann? Holly would have to come right in, right? There's Dave Butts.
Good game, big fella.
Yes, he is. That is always has his boy at Saturday practice, you know, and boy looks at him like, that's my dad, you know. It's like, I'll be darned. He's an amazing guy, that big one.
Holding, 61, offense, second down.
I remember somebody gave me a rumor that he had only size 7 shoes, and one time I used it on the air, and next time I saw Dave Butts, he said, look at my feet, and they're like 15 triple D, you know? Look at that. And I said, well, if somebody gave me wrong information, he said, well, you're straightened out now. I said, yes, sir, Mr. Butts. No problem here. Ooh, second down, 19. Guys, quick drop. Now he's going to screen it to the left side. Joe Washington has it. 2 good blockers in front. Little Joe now hit at the 22, close to a first. Tommy Tutson there caught him from behind. Joe has had some Achilles tendon problems in the past, huh?
Yes,
you might want to rest him. What is that? Suey, huh? Boss Hog Bugle. That's it.
You know, you're at a dangerous part of the ball game right now, I think, Tom, where you have your first-string quarterback in, your leading quarterback in the league, and you're up by so many points. 5 minutes to go, because now everyone knows the outcome of the game, and now that's when you really see a lot of cheap shots.
That's a good point. The rollout screening back. Joe's pulling out all the plays. Giaconto out over the 21. Curry and 3 or 4 other people, and it looks to me like Atlanta's getting a little bit irate.
I think what maybe the Falcons are saying, you know, enough is enough. You already know that you've beaten us this afternoon, and now you're trying to do all these fancy things against us, maybe trying to embarrass us just a little bit more.
I wonder how good of friends the 2 coaches are anymore.
Yeah, especially after this, right.
Joe Gibbs, of course, had as his #1 assistant putting this offense in, Dan Henning here for 2 years. Hayes is punting, and Billy Johnson is catching. Hayes is a very good high kicker. Oh, this is a tremendous kick. Johnson at the 32. Billy Johnson at the 50. There's a flag down, but Billy Johnson runs it back to about the 25-yard line of Washington. And a couple of Redskins are on the ground. Doesn't take away from what number 81 did. Must have been at least 1 clip on that run back. Bostic is coming off the starting center. He was shaken up.
So that's what I was talking about, dangerous. This is a dangerous part of the ball game right now. You see all kinds of shots going on out there right now, and you don't want to get these people hurt with the Dallas game coming up, and you're getting ready to go into the playoffs.
Call.
Illegal block above the waist. Number 51 of the receiving team. First down.
Rich Dixon going for somebody's bonnet. Probably went for the head.
Going for that skull.
The Redskins have got to keep pressure on, but you want to save yourself for the prom, too. You don't want to miss big game down the road, do you? First and 10. Morawski now sprinting out left. Look out. He's going to be sacked. It's Perry Brooks. Perry Brooks comes in and makes the tackle. Young Morawski has learned a lot. Last week he played with a flu virus and did a darn good job and put some points on the board. The defense won it, but the offense certainly kept them close when they needed it. Seems like a very capable young man. And Atlanta is young indeed. They have a good program down there. Second down and call it 22 to Locke. The reverse handoff to Billy Johnson. Johnson knocked down by Brooks. 25.
You still see the Falcons flying around, throwing blocks downfield. 2:38 left in the ball game. The Redskins up 37-14, and now their thoughts are really concentrating and starting to center in on next week down in Irving, Texas, against those Cowboys. Oh, that place is really, that's going to be some place to be.
This bunch, they want Texas pretty bad. Dallas, huh?
They got them.
There were 3,000 no-shows here today, but it was a sellout. Almost picked off. They're going to call interference. Vernon Dean. Boy, he's some good player, though. Second-year cornerback who a lot of people say hasn't been playing well, but he takes tough coverage, and he doesn't hide when it's over, you know?
No, he doesn't. He was telling me yesterday that the thing that has bothered him the last couple of weeks is the fact that he has made 3 or 4 mental mistakes. And that's the one thing that you can't do and play great football.
Number 32, defense, first down.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I told him, I said,
just beat physically. If somebody runs by you once in a while, or it's a perfect pass.
Yeah, you know those physical things are going to happen. I told him, I said, hey, you know, forget about the physical mistakes, but you got to concentrate on the mental mistakes. And he knows he has to do that. He has to be able to say, hey, what the heck on the physical mistakes? I just got beat.
Morawski, first and 10 with the interference call. Gets it to Bailey. Bailey, the new receivers. It's Bailey and Hides. Jenkins and Jackson are no longer the big ones. There's the 2-minute warning. 37-14, Washington. New York. Here at RFK Stadium, some of the 53,000 plus have gone back out to get into traffic and go. A lot of them are still here. Both teams are still here. Don't forget the NFL today will wrap it all up with Brent and Jimmy and Irv, and we'll have a few people here maybe for a Washington look at things. Did you see this stat that the Redskins have gotten inside the opponent 20-yard line 73 times this year and only failed to score 4 times? I've never seen a stat like that.
Awesome.
Riggs can hold on. A look at those standings points out how important the shootout in Texas will be. Washington will be 12-2. Dallas against Seattle later today, 11-2. As you can see, those Redskins go right into that OK Corral next Sunday afternoon. Remaining schedule, of course, Dallas, Seattle today. And then, of course, the last game of the season, they go to that beautiful place on the bay and play Walsh's 49er team that plays them very well indeed. The draw play to Riggs. Riggs breaking out over the 30 to the 27-yard line. Murphy making a tackle there. Murphy and Cameron, the 2 safety men, they call their secondary the Pearl Harbor boys. They say Tora, Tora, Tora because everybody gets stopped on the ground and load up and start throwing the football at them, you know? You got to have a sense of humor to play defense, right, Jim?
You better. It'll drive you crazy.
Morawski to Bailey at the 11-yard line. Bailey's caught a lot of passes today. Clock is ticking. Well, why we always say that, the clock is always ticking. But sometimes people see it ticking. used to be a quarterback at Utah. And a good one. Good athlete.
Even though the game is well in hand for the Redskins, the Falcons still fighting and clawing and kicking and scratching, trying to do something.
Bailey has 9 catches for 159 yards. That's a career for some people.
Certainly is. But then again, you have to keep everything in perspective and remember that the Redskins are just so great against the run that most people, that's all they can do is pass.
Isn't that the truth? Here they come. Falcons have scored 14 and now are trying to get another notch. That's Lynn Kane, a seldom used back that's a darn good football player in this league, number 21. There's John Riggins. He's had a pretty good day, Riggins has. Talk a little bit about that.
Remember the coaches were telling us yesterday they just kind of leave John alone at practice. They don't want to bother him. They don't talk to him that much. He doesn't talk to them that much. He just shows up on Sunday or whenever game day is and does his job.
It's not bad, though. They have a pretty good feeling. This team, everybody does their own things personally and all, and then when they come there, they're very serious and get it done. They have volleyball championships. Riggins had an 87-yard day on 23 carries, and the Falcons got after him pretty tough. None of it was easy. His longest run this year is, what, 27 yards?
27 yards.
55 seconds left. What used to be the end of the football season is now a 16-game season, so it's really just starting for the team that goes all the way. When I first came to the league, they only played 12.
14 when I got there, so that means you're a little older than I am.
Just the ball was around when I played. Here we go. Luckhurst trying a 25-yard field goal. They'll settle for it. The extra point, pardon me, as it's 37-21 now. Luckhurst getting his 3rd extra point. Don't forget tonight on CBS, as always on Sunday, a great lineup. 60 minutes, one day at a time, which is the way defensive backs live their lives anyway. The Jeffersons, Goodnight Beantown, and Trapper John M.D. right here on CBS tonight. Let's see who comes out now and what the Falcons will perhaps try to do. Down by 16 points. This number 7. Remember when he first was in the league and ran back punts?
Yeah, many people didn't give him much of a chance at being a successful quarterback in the NFL. But
Kilmer and Jurgensen were running that, and he ran back punts, and he didn't fair catch a lot of them, though. He did try to run them back. It's Joe Gibbs in his 3rd year.
Wonder what Kilmer and Jurgensen thought about young Joe Theismann when he was just coming up.
Well, they thought he was young.
They thought he was young.
Notre Dame quarterback. The reason I'm saying that is Billy Kilmer has stopped in the booth, and we're just grinning with my friend. Here's Luckhurst kicking off. It's a scramble kick. Good play by the special teams. That was a tough one to fall on, huh? We hope you've enjoyed this ball game. Our executive producer has been Terry O'Neill. Thank you, Terry. Senior producer Charles H. Milton III from the western slope of Colorado. Produced by Eddie Gorin, who gave us a tour of Washington, driving us around for the last couple of days. He's been lost. Bob Daly working on his cut shot, one of the great tennis players of our time. Paul Arndt and Chicago. And Mitchell and Connell. Burnham and Palasek. Hanford. All the people, and especially our camera people. The Hulk right in the middle there of his mini cam, and we do enjoy it, and you are very, very good at what you do. Inside handoff, that's Mosley getting some action. He probably just dies having to go to practice and never getting to play, you know?
I know.
The scoring machine, the Washington Redskins. And can they play the run? No wonder they offset each other so well. Their defense can play the run. Holly just came in the game, the number 2 quarterback behind Theismann. Don't forget, coming up next, the NFL Today. Brent and Irv and Jimmy will have the wrap-up from the New York City studio. This is RFK Stadium under the lights. Mosley outside. Boy, there have been some football games played in this ball yard over the years. Don't forget, they go against Dallas next year as Joe Gibbs is going. Thanks to Billy Friel, my spotter. There's the 2 old friends, the assistant coach, who's now his own head man, Dan Henning, and Joe Gibbs. Looks like they're still friends. Huh?
It does. It does. I think that once the game is over, you exchange pleasantries and you say, okay, that was a way to go. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. And, you know, you're trying to forget it. Now, once they go in that dressing room, oh, my goodness, Henning is going to always remember this.
Well, as a player, I always tried to do that. I always tried to make friends after it was over, didn't you?
Oh, as many friends as I could, because you're going to have to see them again at one time or another. That's right.
All right. We'll be back with a wrap-up, as I said, from New York with the NFL Today group of all those games that have been going on, and also a look at maybe what's happened here in the past at RFK Stadium. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, we said it was going to be a hard-fought, close game. At least it was hard-fought. Final score, Washington 37-21. Theismann was 17 for 28 for like 200 yards and the 3 touchdown passes. Did he look really sharp to you, or do you think he sort of got it going and they polished it up as they moved into that second and third period?
I think at the beginning of the game, Joe was just a little off, just a little bit rusty, but then as the game wore on, every once in a while, they kind of kicked it into high gear, and they did whatever they wanted to, just about whenever they wanted to, thanks to the great play of their defense. But Joe Theismann is such an outstanding athlete and just a great quarterback that he was able to throw the pass with pinpoint accuracy whenever he wanted to.
All right, well, let's find out what Joe himself thinks about it. We'll go down now and talk to number 7, who's on the side, or he's in the dressing room there. Hi, Joe. How you doing? Jimmy Hill and Tom Brookshire.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you.
What kind of a game did you think you had?
Well, I'd sort of disagree with Jimmy. I got off to too good a start. I don't think I got off to a slow start. I got off to too good a start, and things started moving along very well. And then I just happened to miss Art on the second series on a couple of bombs. I think that really could have made a big difference early in the football game. But Jim, I think, pointed out something that was very important. Our offense relies so much on our special teams and our defense to set the tempo, and then we have the opportunity to capitalize on what they provide for us. So I think combined as a football team, we managed to get everything done, but it takes all 49 guys, not just one particular phase, to put points on the board.
Joe, were you surprised at all that the Falcons didn't do more things on defense, like try to blitz and put more pressure on you?
Well, Jim, in all honesty, I think they're still new. They're still under a new coaching staff. And when you have that situation, if you sort of go by the blitz, you're going to get burned by it. They did come with 2 safety blitzes. One time I hit Charlie Brown just before the half to set up Art Monk's touchdown. The second one, where I got the ball out into the flat to Joe Washington with literally nobody covering him. Having played under Dan Henning, I think, and I hope he appreciates the fact that I do study defenses very well, and when they do safety blitz, it's definitely a disadvantage to the defense and an advantage to the offense. So they might have had that in mind as well.
Joe, we had the feeling up here that maybe you should have been rested, and you and some of the other starters earlier. There wasn't any thought of getting a lot of points and embarrassing Atlanta. What were you guys trying to do?
Well, it's not a question of embarrassing. What we don't want to do is we don't want to take our starters out, because in all honesty, I think next week's football game is going to be a 60-minute contest for everybody. And you just can't get used to playing 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters. We've had that opportunity come up 5 of our last 6 ball games almost. And you just can't come out of a football game, because then you do lose that intensity. You do lose that killer instinct going down the road. We don't want that to happen. We want everybody to stay 60 minutes alert to play football.
Joe, we got a stat up here. Jimmy and I were talking about it. We talked about it on the air. 73 times the Redskins have gotten inside the 20-yard line this year, and you scored 69 times. I don't know if I've ever heard of an offensive team that gets into plus territory and scores all the time like that.
Well, actually, we should be a little bit better. I made a couple mistakes. I made one against Philadelphia, or one the week before against somebody, and That's really an area that I take a lot of pride in, inside the plus 20. I think it's a quarterback's responsibility to make sure that the kicker at least has an opportunity for field goals and or the offense has a chance to score touchdowns. The other area that I enjoy very much is a 2-minute drill, because that's when I think you're really at your true test. You have to do everything right. You can't afford the luxury of a mistake because it results in points usually for the other team or a momentum turn for the other team. So I think it's a credit to the offensive strategy we have. It's a credit to the men I play football with because they concentrate like heck, and it is a wonderful challenge as a quarterback goes as well.
Joe, you mentioned all those things you enjoy doing. I certainly enjoyed watching you perform this afternoon. Congratulations and good luck next week against Dallas.
Thank you, Jim. It's nice to have you do one.
Okay, thank you.
Joe Theismann. Of course, in just a moment, we're going to talk to Dexter Manley. And the only thing that Dexter Manley has ever done is keep talking. I think we're going to get an interview out of him. How do you think this team again matches up with Dallas?
I think right now the Redskins will have to be considered the favorites to go in there and to beat the Dallas Cowboys. They do so many things so well, even their special teams, and the special teams are one of the reasons why the defense is as great as it is. I mean, when you have a punter who can put the ball inside the 20-yard line as often as the Redskins punter does, that means that your defense is starting out in great field position for Washington. Sometimes psychologically that works for you against the opposition. And when you have the defense and they play the way that they do, and Dexter Manley, who's standing by live to talk to us now, it's really amazing.
Okay. Dexter, you down there?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, boy, I knew you'd be there. Huh?
How you guys doing?
Well, we did pretty well. What was your problem there at one time? They thought you were a little early jumping off sides.
Well, I tell you what, I kind of got frustrated because the tight end and the running backs kept cutting me, and it was doubling me, and so I decided, hey, just tee off and take a lick on the quarterback for a while.
You know, Dexter, you told us yesterday that you were frustrated the last couple of weeks because you were double-teamed and triple-teamed, and that seemed to be true this afternoon. They didn't want to let you in the backfield at all.
Well, I tell you what, our coach Henry was here last year, and I think he knows the capability that our defense have. I think he's studied our personnel, and that's one of the problems that I had going into the ball game because, matter of fact, one of the offensive tackles was here last year as assistant coach there now, and I've practiced against him quite a bit in practice. So I think that they had an advantage there because Mike Kent had an excellent day, and him and the rest of the guys. And I was getting pretty frustrated at one while.
You know, you mentioned that you always think about the Dallas Cowboys throughout the course of the year. Now you can focus all of your attention on them. It's going to be some kind of shootout next week.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be a very exciting game. This will boil down to throughout the year. We've been looking forward to this, and I think it's going to be a great ball game. We're really looking forward to it.
When you went into the ball game this afternoon, was there anything that you were overly concerned about as far as Atlanta was concerned?
No, I don't think that I was over concerned with that. They was going to basically try to run the football more, and I tell you the truth, they didn't really run Andrew Williams that much as much as I thought they would. They really threw the football a lot, and they run a lot of dashes. I was thinking that
Okay, Dexter, thank you very much, buddy. We got to run right now. This is Tom Brookshier for Jimmy Hill, and we're sending you right now to New York City, and I'll tell you, the Redskins can go.